Hello. Is it me you're looking for? Or is it Jacadero? You know who the voice is. You know who the voice belongs to. It is I, Koku. I have returned to guest host this week's episode of Shoot the Breeze. Jacadero had another assignment to do, so he asked me to fill in. As you guys know by now, Jacadero will be the full-time host come this fall. In the meantime, during the summer weeks and months, I shall do the hosting when he cannot. You guys can also host too, by the way. Just reach out to us and say, hey, I'd like a turn on hosting one of these weeks. But I'm here tonight. And so I'm also here right now to let you know what we have in store for you tonight. We're going to talk about the viral videos of Black South Africans and their anti-African rhetoric. And we're going to question, why is that going viral? We're also going to look at a past, sorry, we're going to look at a past American president in a recorded phone conversation saying that Africans can't run things. Of course, you see the thumbnail for tonight's episode, so you know what we're going to be talking about tonight. Uh, we'll be talking about some truthful shots fired. That's how it was put up there, but I'll tell you that the background, we'll go over it, is the Rick Chow murder trial that recently unfolded this past week with a not guilty, killing a 14-year-old black child. We'll talk about that tonight. We're also going to talk about, are you getting prepared? Why is that question coming up? Because you have been warned. We'll show you the warning. And last but not least, we're going to ask, do you know about the Natasha trend in China? So we're going to talk about those things tonight. I'm glad you guys are here. I see Trigger Happy in the chat saying peace, peace. I'm guessing Trigger Happy and the others who are out there can hear my voice. Drop a 1 if you can for me. Drop a fire emoji if you're excited in your anticipation for the conversations that we're about to have tonight. If you want to join the panel, just click the link pinned to the top of the chat. Also pinned to the top of the chat, pardon me, is the link to the Discord. Join the Discord so that you can continue these conversations, and you can also post and create your own conversation on the Discord. Remember, we are a Pan-Africanist, Black nationalist, Garveyite channel, so keep those topics within that realm. In the meantime, as I start the show officially, you guys hit the like button, share the show to your socials, and share the show to your socials, and we will be right back.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAC Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where black problems are addressed with black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAZ Radio.
Also, remember to, man, I don't know what it's called, came from just as I was about to start the show. Sorry about that. Also, make sure to support Brother Bakari, the BBN Network. Support the matron. Support the matron. The matron has been doing her thing, reading these different selected books. Most recently, she was reading Forecast's book. So make sure to support Forecast as well in his endeavors. So support the matron, what she's doing, reading those books. Support Forecast with a book that he recently wrote. And last but not least, support Kofi, the Black Critic, as well. With that said, again, if you want to join the panel, click the link pinned to the top of the chat, and you will have access to the panel as well. Provide triggers for evolution is out in the chat. 4 or 5 emojis saying greetings to all. I guess she's the only one who was looking forward to the conversations that we're going to have tonight. Well, as it stands, it's only me on the panel, but we're going to get right into it as I drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1. Now, again, guys, you got to keep the Shoot the Breeze topics short. I think it's only 200 characters that's allowed for it to fit. So this is one of those Shoot the Breeze topics that will not fit into one post. Shoot the Breeze topic number 1 says, how come the viral videos of Black South Africans' anti-African rhetoric goes viral, but a person who was actually a part of the South African Parliament doesn't get the same press? To continue, don't completely swallow everything these European platforms show you. Think critically. Some doesn't mean all. This comes with a link that's going to take us to YouTube. Let me make sure. No, I'm lying. It's not that one. Okay, so you guys can, damn it. You guys can see my screen. Hold on, YouTube. StreamYard does this thing where it drops out your audio. And if you're not paying attention, you won't see the notification. I just happen to see it. So let's do it again. All right, so you guys can see my screen. We'll play the video. It's a short, so I might play it more than once. And then we will discuss it.
Repeated waves of anti-African violence in South Africa itself, where migrants from Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Somalia, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Malawi, Congo, and elsewhere have been attacked, displaced, looted, and killed. We must say clearly, this violence can never be justified. An unemployed South African and an unemployed Zimbabwean are both victims of the same global system of inequality and exploitation. A Nigerian street trader and a South African worker are not enemies. A Somali shopkeeper and a township resident are not enemies. The true enemy is the system that keeps African people poor, while a tiny elite accumulates wealth. Thomas Sankara taught us that imperialism often occurs in more subtle forms. Part of that subtle imperialism is teaching Africans to fear one another instead of confronting the structure that exploits all of us collectively. We must also never forget that African liberation itself depended on solidarity across borders. No African country liberated itself entirely alone. And that is why Afrophobia is not only morally wrong, it is historically ignorant. Repeated waves of anti-African violence in South Africa itself, where migrants from Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Somalia, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Malawi, Congo, and elsewhere have been attacked, displaced, looted, and killed. We must say clearly, this violence can never be justified. An unemployed South African and an unemployed Zimbabwean are both victims of the same global system of inequality and exploitation. A Nigerian street trader and a South African worker are not enemies. A Somali shopkeeper and a township resident are not enemies. The true enemy is the system that keeps African people poor while a tiny elite accumulates wealth. Thomas Sankara taught us that imperialism often occurs in more subtle forms. Part of that subtle imperialism is teaching Africans to fear one another instead of confronting the structure that exploits all of us collectively. We must also never forget that African liberation itself depended on solidarity across borders. No African country liberated itself entirely alone. And that is why Afrophobia is not only morally wrong, it is historically ignorant. Repeat.
So that would be Julius Malema. Speaking on the situation in South Africa. I know, honestly, I had about 5-6 more different videos I could have put up under this prompt, but I didn't want the first prompt to weigh down the rest of the show. But I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you have, drop a 1 for me in the chat. But you got South Africans getting upbraided about going after Chinese people in South Africa. You have that woman who was leading the Zulus to carry out these attacks. You have her in video stuttering and copping pleas and begging for these Indians and whatnot to hire just their people and not foreigners. And an interesting thing came out in that too. One of them fellas, I think it was an Indian guy or Chinese guy. No, I think it was an Indian guy. He was like, listen, we don't mind hiring the locals, but the problem is on Monday. And a lot of people were confused as to what's happening on Monday. What's the problem with Mondays? And apparently, South Africa, this is what we're told by black people from South Africa as well, that a lot of the men tend to get drunk during the weekends and can't make it to work on Monday. Whereas these foreign blacks, at least foreign to South Africa, blacks or Africans, they are willing to be there on Monday. But that's a typical immigrant type mentality versus a local mentality. It's just how it works out. But yeah, there's several videos that could have been put attached to this as well. But this was Malema. What do you guys in the chat think about what Malema had to say? As you guys post your thoughts in the chat, let me welcome my first panelist for the night. That'll be Black Steel. Black Steel, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Coco. How about yourself? Summer vacation has started, and I'm trying to enjoy myself and relax, not strain myself too hard.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. Good stuff for you, man. I'm doing well. I'm filling in for Jacadero tonight, so I'm happy to be here. Glad that you're on vacation until at least hopefully the middle of August. So I hope you enjoy your summer as well. Um, Sister Cheryl in the chat says, "Bruh, that's a lame ass excuse." I guess I guess she means the Monday thing. I'm not certain. Sister Cheryl, clarify that for me. Trigger Happy early in the chat said Khalid Muhammad quote reminds me of the problem here. Going for only the web as opposed to the spider and the web combined. Goes on to say it's getting so bad that many people on social media are expressing that they won't support South Africa during the World Cup. This is pretty horrible. Anthony McPhail's out there in the chat saying peace to the panel and the chat. He says, yeah, that video was crazy. The sister begging that Indian guy. Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Anthony, who was on the panel last week with you fellas. It was good to hear him on the panel. Cheryl said the same thing is said about African Americans, that they are lazy compared to African immigrants, really any immigrants. If they're not going to hire you, then they don't need no excuses. Just do it. I get what Sister Cheryl is saying, but I will say that even in, let's say in my home country, right, there's folks who will jump on a raft, a tiny sloop or something, come to my country, and they're doing the jobs that honestly most Bahamians wasn't really checking for. Most folks who are local to a place, they're trying to do, how do I put it? They're trying to they're trying to do the mainstay or mainstream type of jobs. The little small jobs that, a person who's desperate, which is basically kind of what an immigrant is, oftentimes. Not all the time, but oftentimes. They're coming there, if they see that they could sweep some fucking steps or shovel some snow, they're going to probably go and try to do that job. That's just what it is. In South Africa, you could be right. It could be an excuse. It could be an excuse, but I've seen and heard South Africans say, native South Africans say, yeah, the men get too drunk on the weekends. They don't want to show up at work on Mondays. Are they lying on their own selves? I don't know. You know what I mean? But Black Seal, did you get to see the video that was played earlier?
I did not, but I've seen some of the videos. Is it about Malema calling for unity and whatnot?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Man, I think we've gone too far already, man. They've already killed 5 people. Have already died in South Africa. From 5 people from Mozambique have been killed by these mobs. I think that we've really gone to the point where somebody has to be held accountable for this. Whoever is inciting these riots, they need to find a name, and somebody needs to be punished for this, because an example has to be made. And this is really lowering Africa's status among the diaspora and on the continent as well. It's just a tragedy. And we talked about it last week. We talked about whether or not you would leave or not. And I said leave, because it's about to get to Rwandan levels of violence. And I don't think we're there yet, but it's definitely heading in that direction. Again, people have already been killed. People have been beaten. Where's the authorities? Where is the law enforcement in South Africa? Why are these people allowed to incite riots and literally brutalize people who are in your country? Not even illegally. These people are legal. They have passports. They have work visas. And they're just allowed to just come and just brutalize people. And this has really put a stain on South Africa's legacy, their connection with other African people, and just, I don't know. It's just really sad. This woman begging for a job. I mean, of course she's gonna beg for a job because black people in South Africa don't run anything. The only thing they can do is beat up the lowest class of society. You didn't see this type of violence towards white people after they legit go around and shoot in the Soweto massacre, the Sharpsburg massacre. You don't see black people doing it to white people, South Africans, ever. But yet here you are, people who come to this country looking for a job, looking for employment, however you may feel about them, right? They're there, they're doing a service, and your response is to brutalize, kill them, beat them, drive them out the country. It's really sad. They might be too far gone at this point. I mean, I believe in triage, don't save her. She don't want to be saved, It's just something to see, really. And it's just, again, we still falling for the same tricks again. Same trick-o-knowledge, same old tactics. We're still falling for them. And, it's just sad to see, really. It's really sad. Black people, we have regressed socially. We regressed in our struggle politically, economically. We're just really falling behind. And sometimes it's just really sad to see. It's nothing to celebrate. Whoever is celebrating this needs their ass whooped, and South Africa needs to do a better job protecting the people in their country, whether they're citizens or they're on a work visa. They got to do something better.
Yeah, you asked the question. Thanks for that, Black Steel. You asked the question of where's law enforcement? And in some of these videos, I swear I see law enforcement walking with the Zulus as they're carrying out these attacks, which is wild to me. So
it's not really wild because you think about even our history, right? Who was most of the time the lynch mobs in America couldn't really do anything without the support of the police.
Yeah.
So it kind of tracks.
That's kind of, the reason why it's wild to me is because clearly then the government is, a so-called black government is involved in this. I don't know if you guys saw, and I said I could have added more videos to this. There was a video where the Zulus were, and I keep saying Zulus because that's what they identify as. They were parked out in front of an embassy. I want to say, was it the Mozambican embassy? They were parked out in front of an embassy, and they was like, "Trust us. The law enforcement can't handle us. If we decide to do something to y'all, law enforcement and all can't handle us." My thing is, where's that energy for white folks? Where's that energy for the ball? Where is that energy? If y'all took up that energy, and the majority of the black folks in South Africa took up that energy, and not just South Africa, anywhere where there's like a majority of black folks. If y'all, it was a Somalian embassy. Thank you for providing Triggers for Evolution. Like, where is that energy? That we gonna run this thing over, and we gonna do this on our terms. So in the chat, Sister Cheryl says, all the men, do all the men get too drunk? Well, I'll say this, because this prompt, if we could remember, it is a long prompt. But if this prompt is talking about don't believe everything that you see, that the Europeans basically can use propaganda, and a few people doing some bullshit ain't all the people. We get that. But when that Indian, and it was Anthony who confirmed it was an Indian fellow, when that Indian said to that woman who's leading those Zulus, I can't remember her name now, when he said, because of Monday, you know what she said? As a person who's from there and there on the ground in front of this man, she said, I understand that. I understand that. We will make sure that our men are up and ready to work on Monday mornings. So how am I supposed to take that? Is that a European pushing propaganda out of her mouth? Or is that her acknowledging, yeah, these guys tend to be on some bullshit, and it created an opportunity for you guys to undercut us as well and hire some foreigners to the country who will probably work for less and who will definitely be there Monday morning. That's out of her mouth. That's her interaction. So I could only go with that. Sister Cheryl asks, who are the people doing the hiring? Lord of Slaughter gives us the RBG colors. Shout out to him. Anthony's in the chats. He says, Bitter Meds, what was really wild was the boy bitch telling the black immigrant he wasn't shit and the two sisters co-signing with her. I didn't see that one. I didn't see that. But you know what I saw today? I saw a vicious attack on an African. I couldn't tell you where this African was from. This black man was from. Vicious attack. I mean, this guy was just beating him in the streets, wailing on him. Broke the thing he was hitting him with and left him on the ground unconscious. And people walked by him kicking the guy. This thing has gone, like Black Seal said, this thing has gone way too damn far. So what do we believe then? Let me ask this to the chat, and I'll also ask it to Black Steel. What do we believe? Do we believe that the Europeans are playing a trick on us, that it's only a handful of incidents, a handful of South African people, or do we read between the lines and listen to what some of these people are saying and determine that, hey, this is from them? Black Seal, how would you look at it?
I would look at it the second part, the latter part. They're expressing how they feel. This is not just propaganda, right? And I say this because there's not enough people from South Africa speaking out against this, right? I don't hear the response as loud as the attacks, right? So you have mobs of people attacking citizens. Attacking people on your streets of your country. I don't see the response the equivalent to that. Like, I don't know, where is their equivalent of the I'm not talking about police at this point. Where is the equivalent of the National Guard? If there was something like this happen, the National Guard would be called out in many cases. I can't say it, but in where's the equivalent? We got to understand too, man, that even though many black people may be quote unquote freed physically from oppression, the shackles in their mind have not yet been broken. Many of these people see the white man as next to God, right? And that is definitely an influence of Christianity. And many of these South Africans are Christians, right? They see the image of Jesus. They see him as next to God. So they're not going to challenge white people like that. They're going to be very polite because the white man is next to God. When you go to church, that picture of Jesus on your wall is a white Jesus. That Bible you open up, you thumb through the pages, everybody in that Bible is white. So when you already, in your mind, you've already surrendered to the white man mentally. So physically, you're not going to oppose him. Whereas your black brother, oh, well, he's just another black person. Who cares? So, this is just kind of where I'm looking at it like this. I believe these people have been beaten down and oppressed so long that they've never really freed their minds. And that's why they feel this desire to beat on and brutalize other black people.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. Let me just put the prompt back up for a second. Again, please limit the length of these prompts. It says, how come the viral videos of black South Africans' anti-African rhetoric goes viral, but a person who was actually a part of the South African parliament doesn't get the same press? Don't completely swallow everything these European platforms show you. Think critically. Some doesn't mean all. Shout out to Daily Affirmations by Pauline. Sister Cheryl says, who controls the media? If you know who controls the media, why are we questioning why there isn't more of an outcry from the locals? That's not a bad point, and I guess that ties into the original prompt, which is they probably don't go and talk to a large swath of locals to get their opinion, which would be, hey, we condemn this shit. I get that. But we live in a time of social media too, where we are the media as well. And the way my algorithm is set up, I think I would see a lot more of regular folks saying, hey, this is not us. You know what I mean? I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong, but you know, I can only go with what I see, and what I see doesn't make me feel too comfortable. You know, who's funding it? I saw some folks mention could be Israel. You know, uh, Provide Trigger says hopefully South Africa will not become another Rwanda. As 1994 was significant for both Rwanda and South Africa for different reasons. Trigger says many people say they are not part of that Afrophobic group. But where is their voice in this against these Afrophobes? So, Trigger is tied into a lot of what's going on the continent. Have you heard? It seems from that comment that you haven't, but have you heard of the locals who are denouncing this behavior in large numbers? You know, let's welcome in Sister Cheryl, who's joined us. Sister Cheryl, how are you this week?
Hello.
Hi,
How's everyone?
I can hear you. How are you this week?
Pretty good. How's everyone doing? What?
Good. I hear the
Sorry, that's my
little one.
baby.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. So, Sister Cheryl,
Mhm.
you had some commentary in the chat. What say you now that you're in the panel?
Um, I'm talking on this platform, baby. Just give me a second. So, yeah, I'm not denying that. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Y'all can just keep going. I'll come back in.
No problem. Totally understand.
No,
So,
I'll just say this, man. While Cheryl's taking a quick break,
yes, sir.
um, it's when you see stuff like this, right? We all know that black people don't really control the media apparatus of the state, right? But again, people have already died in this situation. Um, and the people and the killers have names and addresses. So where's the outcry? Where is the outcry from the people who aren't doing it, who don't believe in this, right? Where are these people who don't support this nonsense? Again, I'm hearing a lot of, that's why don't pay attention to the media. But again, people have died, and more people are going to die. Remember, they set a deadline for June 30th. What happens July 1st when they're not gone? You know, who's to say this is going to get any? It's not. First of all, it's not going to get better, right? I just kind of feel like this just something overall that the people of South Africa are just, in my opinion, too lackadaisical about. And again, this is not the first time they've had this issue, but again, it really blew up around the time that South Africa accused Israel of genocide, right? And one thing is that the Israelis good at is they're good at sowing division. They're good at all these issues, causing problems internally. I don't want to excuse that, but they got to be better. Like, again, intellect, man. You have to use your brains, and we're regressing. I'll let Cheryl speak.
Go ahead, Sister Cheryl.
Yeah, so not just what's happening in South Africa, but I kind of see like I think I think everybody sees recurring like issues. Like what's going on in South Africa is not too different from what happens to any population of Black people when they are in a country that is economically dominated by the people that are not the original people. So, am I saying that there are not things, that African people do to each other that they shouldn't be doing? Yeah, the murders and all that. Of course, there's going to be that. Like, I would never deny that. And I think Black Steel did touch on that, and the reason why those things happen is because of Christ's insanity. White Jesus and all of that. I think we can all agree with that. But also, not making any excuses, but it just seems when it comes to things like, I think y'all mentioned the Indian um the Indian people that are there that won't hire the Black people and they use some excuse about them not getting up in the morning. You know, I just don't know what to make of that because I see so many things like that happen in the United States, even with African Americans. Like people make similar excuses, but at the end of the day, they're Indian. And, I mean, we shouldn't be asking to get hired by them anyway, but I feel like that's a whole. I don't know if I can rock with that. I don't know. I don't think I can get with that one. It's just say you don't want to hire. And it also, there's so many unknowns, and I hate to be the person that say, "Hey, South Africans, you got to do better," when I'm not on the ground there. And I know people that have died. All right, there are people that have died. Some people would say, "Well, the crime rate is very high in the Black community," and that's what it sounds like. That's what it sounds like. But from, like, I don't know, like, I don't know if there's non-white people saying that too, or there's other Black people. Like, all of the rhetoric sounds like the same stuff that I hear in America coming from white platforms. So I'm not saying that Black people don't kill each other, right? White people kill each other, Asian people kill each other, right? So we can always go back to that. But to me, I'm just like, if I'm not on the ground, there's certain things I cannot say. Like, I'm not going to say, "Oh, do better," because I know they can do better. There's Black Americans that can do better. There's Black people in Jamaica. Sorry, I'm in Jamaica right now, but there's Black people in Jamaica that can do better. But I need to get down to what's happening. And really, if you don't have boots on the ground, you can't really, you don't really know what's causing what and where it's starting. What's the starting point for it? Who's the instigator? Where are these things coming from? So, and yeah, like I said, we do understand like there's a colonialist mentality there, but I'm not discounting that. That's awful. That's something we all have to do better as a people. But I think there's South Africa, like, I don't know, because I don't know too much about it, but I just know I'm not going to pass. Like, I can't say yay or nay or y'all do better and stuff like that unless I'm on the ground. I know what's happening, and I know, like, I know the starting point for things because this, how white people do. Like, they'll like, oh, anytime something bad happens to a Black person, or anytime there's like Black people complaining about jobs, there's always some non-Black person in the background talking about, "But y'all kill each other, y'all violent, so that's why we don't do it." And that's what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong, but I'll leave it there.
I appreciate that, Sister Cheryl. You know what, Sister Cheryl, I agree with much of what you're saying. Actually, um, I agree with much of what you're saying in terms of we don't know if this is the same old. It sounds like the same playbook, and so therefore, it's it's much of the similar tricks. But I think within that, and even within this story, in a larger sense, I think it tells us something that we need to be working on. We need to be working on our lines of communication. We need to be able to talk to people on the ground who are there and not just the media snippets that are being put out. Now, I will say also that I haven't really seen South African media, official media talking about it. I've seen social media talking about it. and showing clips of things that are going on. But you're right. I think we do need to have better lines of communication so we circumvent the European influence. At the same time, I'll say that I think it was Black Steel who said it earlier, and some people agreed. When we say in this instance that Pan Africanism is regressing, I think one of the problems that's happening here, I think this is a direct assault on Pan Africanism. I think the people who are financing this and backing this, they're doing this to break down any kind of solidarity, unity, whichever word you want to use, amongst African people on the continent. They've successfully done a lot of it out here in the West. Let's just be real about that. In this Western hemisphere, they've successfully, or pretty much successfully, done a lot of it. I mean, there's a lot of pushback going on, but we see the biggest group that has the most access to media is becoming more and more anti-African. And again, there is not it's not NBC, ABC talking about it. It's the regular folks on social media pushing it. And it's spreading. I saw a guy say the other day that Jamaicans are not Africans; they are something else, Taino or something. And I'm like, come on, what do we do? What are we doing? So we do have to question these things, question everything. Before I welcome in our next panelist, I'm going to just read some messages from the chat. Trigger Happy says, trying to look through South African social media. They have their Pan-Africanists and their progressives, but you could argue that it is not as loud enough as these Afrophobes. Trigger goes on to say, I feel like there's a small sense of sympathy that, quote unquote, well, Nigerians do actually do these criminal acts and problems, added to the fact that they don't really control their media. Lord of Slaughter says they are embarrassed and they aren't as seasoned as us in the Western Hemisphere. You have to distance yourself from things that make you look bad. Trigger says, we all pretty clear that the instigator is no one black. The concern is that the response is not really strong enough if there isn't collective Afrophobia. Culture Education says, shout out to Dada Ama calling in from JA. Shout out to Dada Ama calling in from JA. Trigger says, and with that decline coming up, it's getting really worrying how that country is going to look, it seems. Provide Trigger says SABC has been covering. I'm not familiar with SABC. Can you give me a little bit more information on that? A lot of South
African Broadcasting Company, I'm thinking.
Oh, okay, yeah. Quick thinking on your part. Good job. Gold star for Black Steel. I didn't even consider that.
I'm more than just a pretty face, Koku. What can I say?
True. Okay, I got it. Lot of says yes. It's a direct attack on Pan-Africanism. Okay, so those are some opinions from the chat. Let's welcome in our brother. I haven't been on the panel with him in a long time. Let's welcome in brother Anthony to the panel. Anthony, how are you this week?
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing, bro?
Yes, sir. I'm good. Thanks for coming.
Hey, yeah, okay, man. Peace to everybody on the panel. Peace, Black Steel. Peace, Sister Cheryl, and everybody in the chat, man. Yeah, Black Steel is kind of like we picking up from last week, right? We was talking about this whole South Africa thing.
Yeah, I remember.
And yeah, and right, I have been checking out a little bit of SABC. Sometimes you can't even trust those media outlets, but SABC, they basically been like playing like a neutral role in it, man. From what I've been seeing, and I think I was looking at an episode of The Big Debate the other night, man, and I went to sleep on it, man, because it was after the show. It was after we had did the show, and I wanted to check out a replay of The Big Debate where they was talking about the xenophobia or the Afrophobia, as it's being called now. But Koku and the panel, y'all look at this is an old playbook, like you said at first, Koku. Now think about this right now. I'm gonna just use some examples. Like What are some of these FBA talking points here? I'm gonna start with my family right here. The FBA thing. What happened? You know, these black immigrants coming from the Caribbean or coming from Africa, taking our jobs, you know, replacing us as actors. You know what I'm saying? They trying to have these new black immigrants, you know, who like only number about 4 million against our 45 million. You know, they trying to say what they trying to take out. They trying to replace us with these black people. You know what I'm saying? It's the same old thing. So what happened? You demean the image of these black immigrants, the Haitians, all that voodoo shit, and you know it's crazy, and they run around with machetes, and you see what they're doing down in Haiti now, or these Jamaicans, you know, they drug dealers and stuff. You know, it's the same play that they're doing against who? The Nigerians, against the Zimbabweans. You know, first you dirty them up. They have to dirty them up through the media. These guys are into drug dealing and sex trafficking and all of this other stuff. Okay, now the next thing you have now you have mob violence against these people. I've seen some of those videos. And the one I was trying to find at Coco, this was yesterday. They had these two sisters where they were colored, you know, from the Cape Coast region. They were coloreds. What they call them colored. You know, they black to me, but they call them colored. And they had a white woman, this old boy bitch, old woman. And it was a black immigrant brother who I think he was from Zimbabwe. Well, they were having an argument out on a street corner. And the brother was like, he was trying to pick up the sisters. You know, y'all my sisters, we ain't different and everything, whatever. But the boy bitch was steady going at him and saying all kind of bad things about him. You know, you could just imagine the stuff. And the sisters over there, the two sisters over there, straight up co-signing with him. And she said, the one of them said, if I had a choice of you, a white person, and you, I would always pick the white person. You know what I'm saying? Now, this white person from South Africa over you, this black immigrant, at least, because she's from here, whatever. You know, and when she said that, I was like, what? She's from here. You know, this is a colonizer who came and took your shit and running your shit right now today. You know what I'm saying? And I was just appalled, you know, and the brother, he seemed like he had, you know, Pan-Africanist leanings and everything. We brothers and sisters, you know, talking about us and the black people and the black people of South Africa. And they didn't want to hear nothing that he had to say. You know, that's the comment that I was shooting. I shot to you, Coco. Yeah, I seen it yesterday, and I was just like, man, what is it? I said, I need to look deep. I'm saying like, because you seeing too much of this. I'm like, is it how a lot of people feel? You know, what about the Pan-Africanists? You know, the brothers and sisters who are against this. You know, I think about Andile and Jatima and them, and you know, sister, what's the sister name? At the Moya channel, different places, because I'm not hearing a lot about it. But I don't know, man. It's number one, definitely it's from the top. You know, this is being orchestrated. It's being orchestrated. Now, just think of this, Coco. I'm gonna wind it. Just think of this. You live in a country of plenty. You know, I mean, a country of plenty. This country is rich. You know, I mean, it has natural resources, mineral wealth. All kind of wealth. You know what I'm saying? It's basically like a United States in Southern Africa, you know, like an America down there. But you got the majority of the people who don't have nothing and living, you know, pretty much a little bit above the poverty line. You know what I'm saying? Even after the end of so-called apartheid, we know apartheid ain't never ended, because apartheid still there. It's economic apartheid. They got rid of the cosmetic thing, but it's economic apartheid, because white folks still run the economy, control the natural resource, the mineral wealth. Black people don't run a goddamn thing in South Africa. Nothing but their mouth. That's all they run. You know, your elites in the government or whatever, who, you know, they get broke off something, but they don't give a damn about their own people. You know what I'm saying? And they benefit from, so we don't want the people to come at us, the little sham ANC government, the little black government, don't come at us. Let's blame it on who? We got to find a scapegoat. Blame it on the immigrants. Well, you know, it's these Nigerians, these Mozambicans, all of these people who come in here with all of this bullshit and all this other stuff, taking our jobs or selling drugs and involved in criminal activity and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? To take the pressure off of them, because the black government of South Africa is bullshit. They don't give a damn. I mean, it's a distraction to keep the pressure off of them from the people saying, we've been in power since 1994. Y'all ain't did shit yet. White folks still own them to 75, 80% of the land. We don't control none of the economy. You see where I'm going, Goku? You know what I'm saying? This is an orchestrated thing. You know what I'm saying? And all of this xenophobia stuff, this is like a distraction to keep people's eyes off of what's really going on, of who's really behind this. Man, the white minority who run the country behind this shit. And they little black puppets who the buffer zone co-signing with them. You know, they get broke off, you know, and you know what I'm saying? We know how this go, man. We see it everywhere. We see it everywhere. If something's not going on good in our country, I'm just using an example. Don't get mad at me, Coco and Butter. But remember a few years ago in the Bahamas. Now, you know, sometimes things could be tough for people. Everybody don't get in. They'll say, okay, you had, remember some groups of Bahamian people saying, these damn Haitians don't come and taking our jobs and stuff like. You remember that, Coco?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, these Haitians, you know what I'm saying, who probably not a big part of the population. I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? The Haitians were coming in and probably they was doing the same thing, Coco. Like, we'll take the little menial jobs that probably the average Bahamian probably don't want. And we'll do it, and you know, we'll parlay this into something else, you know, to get a step up. And next thing you know, if we move it up a little bit, oh man, these Haitians got to go. Go back to your own country. You know what I'm saying? Or these in America. Oh man, or black Americans, hey man, these black immigrants gotta go. Go back to your own country. You know, this type of bullshit right here. You know, we know how that go, man. I'd knock off right there.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Anthony. I have one last follow-up question for everyone on the panel, and even you guys in the chat as well. But before that, I see Sister Cheryl says she has a short story about the importance of media dissemination. Sister Cheryl, are you in a position to speak on it?
Yeah, I just wanted to okay. So I understand like black people because you got different types of black people like anywhere in South Africa. You got black people who are about their life. You're about getting the colonizer out of there. And you got black people who will shut them down and do whatever the white people say to so they can keep their job. Um, but let's just wanted to say that real quick. But the story that I wanted to share about dissemination of information and how things are perceived versus how they really are. My husband and I, we went to Jamaica in 2020, and as you know, 2020 was when COVID wasn't it at its peak? It was around 2020.
Yeah, 20.
From if you look at media, and this is any media site you look at, it doesn't matter. They all say the same thing. They said they had Jamaica on the list as one of the countries not to visit because of COVID. Everywhere. It was like that. And everybody just automatically took the West word for it, right? I'm not saying the West is always um, wrong, but this was very serious thing for a lot of people. A lot of things, it was something that a lot of people took very seriously. And if they had plans to go to the Caribbean, if they had plans to go to Jamaica, they canceled those plans immediately. So my husband and I went in 2020. Don't you know when we get there, they were more organized dealing with COVID than the United States, than Canada. They were way more organized. You didn't see millions of people walking around with masks and all this foolishness. You didn't see that. And the quote unquote infection rate was not nearly as high. So you just gotta, I mean, for them to put Jamaica on the list of countries not to visit, you gotta question, was there a different motive behind that? I'm not sure what that could have been, but not sure what's going on in Jamaica during 2020. But what you hear from media and versus what we saw when we were there, they didn't even bother us. So this is what they did. We arrived in Montego Bay, and when we got off the plane, the first thing they made us do was uh, fill out a COVID vaccination card and not a vaccination card. We didn't get vaccine. They didn't force us to get vaccines. It was like filling out like some type of information card for COVID. And they beeped us on the head with a thermometer or whatever thermometer, whatever the thing they use, and that was it. It was done, and you was in. It was no commotion to get through immigration. It was none of that. It was nothing. So I don't know, like they really be trying to scare Americans, and Americans are scary. And Americans, Westerners, they're scary. Anytime something like this happens, they get scared. And the first countries they choose not to visit is the black countries. So you just gotta even if you are scared, just know this is why it's good to know people, know your information. Don't listen to these media sites 100% because COVID wasn't even it wasn't nobody dying from COVID in Jamaica. Ain't nobody wearing masks, ain't nobody vaxxed up, ain't nobody doing none of that. They was just walking around like it was a normal day, normal people. Like you saw a couple of people with masks on. But I guess my point is that you gotta take stuff with a grain of salt. You can't just believe everything off rip. Like you can't. You absolutely cannot. Because for the outrage that they were having over Jamaica during COVID, it should have been like hell getting through customs, and it wasn't. It was quick and simple. It was the simplest thing I've ever done. So I just wanted to just put that out
Appreciate that, Sister Cheryl. Really quick in the chat, Provide Triggers for Evolution mentioned Moya did an interview with a Kenyan based platform on this matter. She noted that she lost viewers because of her position against Afrophobia. That's interesting. Trigger Happy says Moya is great, but following her as she is a South African Pan Africanist. She is someone I would say who battles Afrophobes weekly. So that's good to know. Trigger also in the chat, you guys watch the playback. There's a link he dropped for her channel. So make sure you guys check it out. I know I'll be checking it out more closely now as well. Um, KW Don 7 gives us a super chat. Appreciate that, KW Don 7. He says the Africans in Azania will have to go right back into apartheid 2.0, much like the FBA ADOS flunkies will have to go right back into Jim Crow 2.0. Then maybe they will learn, but I don't think they will. Unfortunately, thank you. Appreciate the super chat from KW Don 7. My final question, follow-up question before we move on to Shoot the Breeze, topic number 2. A follow-up question, and the chat can participate in this as well. If you had the opportunity, mic in hand, and you could speak to the local South Africans, what would you tell them if you had the chance to? I'm just going to go straight down the line. I'm going to start with Black Steel. Black Steel, what would you tell them if you had a chance?
Stop this dumbass shit y'all doing. That's what I would tell them. Stop this dumbass. What are y'all doing? Like, this person from Ghana, Nigeria, Mozambique, Zimbabwe is not your enemy. What are y'all doing? This is stupid. The people who got the money, the people who got the power is the white man. But instead, you'll lynch a black man, but you'll let the white man, you want to come up to them with hat in hand begging for jobs. I would say stop this because you're embarrassing us. You're embarrassing us.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. Sister Cheryl, what would you tell them?
I would just tell them, you guys are, come on, like, you guys are 85% of the population and you're being controlled by, I don't know, it's less than 15% because you got Indians there too. Y'all being controlled by such a small population. And in the West, we have the opposite problem. Like, we're less than 15% of the population in its majority. And it's just like to us without a critical lens, to us, we see that your nation is dominated predominantly by your people. Different ethnic backgrounds, but y'all all black people. Um, what's going on? Like that would be I think I would have more questions than more so telling them what to do because all I see, it's just chaos. It's they've allowed things to go so far that I don't know what they can do. I'm sure there are things that they can do. But this is it's it's shameful in a sense. It's sad in the sense that such a small group of people, these Dutch people and Indian people, and they can dictate whether or not y'all can get jobs or not. It's ridiculous. Like we need to do something. We need to. I don't know what the beef is. I mean, there's always been little squabbles here and there. People got these squabbles, but to allow these non-black people to escalate, and that's what they're doing. That's what they're known to do, is to escalate tensions that people already have in said nation. Okay, because people are going to have their squabbles. They're going to have their little things, but for it to escalate like this is definitely the it's definitely those other folk, and we need it's this is the time y'all need to start. Come on, start waking up, start doing what you got to do, because I know some of them got the spirit to do it, but it's getting the numbers of people to do what they need to do. So I don't know, I would just give them some encouragement, like stop fooling around, lollygagging, because it's not looking good.
Appreciate that, Sister Cheryl, brother. Anthony, you had a chance to speak to the local South Africans. What would you tell them?
Basically, I would Coco, I really wouldn't tell them nothing. I would want to get what a mindset. I would find out what a mindset is. I want to ask them questions. Where's this mindset coming from? And that this mindset of the harming another black person, another African, you know what I'm saying, of your brother, your sister, as opposed to doing harm to the motherfucker that controls your life. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's just the answer would be pretty much like had heels here. It places in similar situations, I can't do nothing against them, so I'm gonna do it against a black person. You know what I'm saying? The low hanging fruit. I mean, that type of mentality, that type of bullshit. But yeah, I would ask them about the mindset. I mean, where is it? I mean, where do you arrive at this point? Let's go out and kill some other black people. You know what I'm saying? Instead of aiming that anger at the people who control your country and run your economy and run your life. That's pretty much what I'd ask. And yes, I'm glad somebody came up with it was a sister in Ezekiel's wife, man. I was actually on a panel a couple of times. And but I hadn't been following her too much lately, on this thing, I've been busy too. But yeah, it's in Ezekiel's wife on the Moya channel, man. And I'm gonna check her out, man, to see what she got to say on it. But yeah, that's what I do, Coco. I would ask a question. Why? Why not at the real enemy?
Appreciate that from all of you. In the chat, Trigabi says, I would tell them to take the Zimbabwe route and stop being scared that you will be alienated by the West. I take that than alienating the continent. Provide Trigger says, evidently, this is not a fight for liberation, but a fight for employment. There lies the difference. Trigger says, because many South Africans, this is continuing his thought, because many South Africans always argue that it's illogical to take that route. This is especially the case when they have the issue of fighting against the white genocide narrative. Lastly, Trigger says, well, either be hated by the West or be hated by Africa. It's their choice, and right now they are hated by Africa. Seems like they don't care. Provide Triggers Revolution says she would ask, how does the concept of Ubuntu apply here? Very interesting. Shout out to Brother Bakari in the chat who says peace and Black African power, Black African family. Man, very good discussion there. Let's move on to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2, though. And this is going to be an interesting one, too. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, Africans can't run things. This is taking us to Instagram. Once again, that thing happened. Sorry about that. This is taking us to Instagram. And let me see, is that it? Yeah. It's taking us to Instagram. So should reach topic number 2. Says Africans can't run things. Comes with this video attachment. We'll play it at least once, of course, maybe twice, and then we'll discuss it.
Just can't run things. Now, that's a very, very fundamental point in the international scene. See my point?
Oh, boy, you sure see it around this place.
Well, yeah, of course you do. You see them. You know, I have mixed feelings. I receive their ambassadors. They change all the time, and I've had I love them. They're so kind and so nice. And they're children.
Yeah.
Children.
Yeah.
Huh? You know?
And they always want something like children.
Oh, God, yes, they want. Well, what can you do? I know, but what I meant is it's so childlike. The childlike faith and this and that. And, of course, a lot of them are crooks, but we have crooks, too. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I think you've got in the field of business, you've got the field of education, so on. But there are many other areas, as you well pointed out, where they can beat the hell out of us. Now, and they should be proud of those. Athletics isn't a bad achievement. Man, you look at the World Series, for God's sakes, and what would either of these teams done without, what would Pittsburgh be without a hell of a lot of blacks, huh? And music, the dance, now, and these things, are they to be therefore just pissed upon? Hell no, they're important. And also, in certain areas, poetry, etc., they have a free and easy style that adds enormously to our culture. But on the other hand, when you get to some of the more, shall we say, some of the more profound, rigid disciplines, basically, they have a hell of a time making it. I mean, and Ed Brooke, for example, is an exception. We've got to face it. In terms of good lawyers, there are damn few good lawyers among any group, but in terms of good lawyers, even though a lot of them go to law schools, I mean, it is not really their dish of tea. But the Africans just can't run things. Now, that's a very, very fundamental point in the international scene. See my point?
Oh, boy, you sure see it around this place.
Well, yeah, of course you do. You see them. You know, I have mixed feelings. I receive their ambassadors. They change all the time, and I've had I love them. They're so kind and so nice. And they're children.
Yeah.
Children.
Yeah.
Huh? You know?
And they always want something like children.
Oh, God, yes, they want. Well, what can you do? I know, but what I meant is it's so childlike. The childlike faith and this and that. And, of course, a lot of them are crooks, but we have crooks, too. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I think you've got in the field of business, you've got the field of education, so on. But there are many other areas, as you well pointed out, where they can beat the hell out of us. Now, and they should be proud of those. Athletics isn't a bad achievement. Man, you look at the World Series, for God's sakes, and what would either of these teams done without, what would Pittsburgh be without a hell of a lot of blacks, huh? And music, the dance, now, and these things, are they to be therefore just pissed upon? Hell no, they're important. And also, in certain areas, poetry, etc., they have a free and easy style that adds enormously to our culture. But on the other hand, when you get to some of the more, shall we say, some of the more profound, rigid disciplines, basically, they have a hell of a time making it. I mean, and Ed Brooke, for example, is an exception. We've got to face it. In terms of good lawyers, there are damn few good lawyers among any group, but in terms of good lawyers, even though a lot of them go to law schools, I mean, it is not really their dish of tea.
In the chat, Sister Cheryl said, quote, Africans can't run things in an international sense. Let's unpack that. So I want to start with Sister Cheryl, but I really want to hear from the chat as well. There's some interesting things being said there that you have to read between the lines a little bit too. And I think Sister Cheryl, I'm going to hear what she says, but the fact that she mentions in the international sense, let's unpack that. Let's talk about that, Sister Cheryl. Sister Cheryl, what say you?
Okay. And we're looking at like
Like historically, like if you go back, like before colonialism, did Africans really need to dominate and control things on an international scale? Like given the resources that they had and all the accomplishments that they managed to do, like like why would they need to dominate on a global scale if they had everything and everybody's coming to them because when you got places like Europe is a small space that's densely populated. So when they're coming to places like Africa, they're coming to all these different continents that they're abundant. They're not that they're not overpopulated, but the land masses are bigger. People have more free reign to do things. They have more land. So if Africans and other groups of people, if they don't have the dominating mindset because they don't need to. They have everything that they need. You don't have everything that you need. Y'all people are scratching and scrounging for every little resource. That's why y'all came to Africa in the first place. So to say that we can't do what you guys do what you have to do because you have no choice. Historically, we had a choice. We have less of a choice now because of all the domination and everything. But Black people are not a I'm a travel the world and see all these people and I'm gonna make you bend the knee. You have to bend the knee to me. And if you don't bend the knee, then I'm going to destroy you. I'm gonna crush your spirit. I'm gonna crush your soul. Black people don't don't do that prior to colonialism, prior to being introduced to their religions and all their crap. Black people don't do this. It's not necessary for us to do it. We don't do it. It's just not in what we do. So he's judging Black people on a European, on the basis of a culture of people that has always scratched the living off of a rock out of a cave. So they have something to prove. We don't got nothing to prove. We got something to prove now because people jumping all in our country and doing crazy stuff and they talking crazy to us and doing crazy things. But historically, before colonialism, we didn't have to do any of that. So there's a context that's missing, and I think you can't talk about a people like this. They did the same thing with like indigenous people in in North America. Oh, they were so nice. They were childlike. They had no problem sharing and stuff like that. They're amazed. Europeans are amazed because where they come from, they have to fight and kill each other in order to sustain. They have to brutalize in order to demand respect. They're they're the savages. That's what they had to do to survive, and they think that because they're in power now and they're still in power, that's the way, and that's the only way things should be. But if black people just like realize it, like we serious, like if we all just came together right now and just pick all of them out, we wouldn't need nothing for forever, for never. And he's talking about how black people only good at sports. Like, come on, we're only good at sports and entertainment. Those are the driving forces for things in America right now that are driving large economies. But I mean, all the inventions, of course, he's going to skip over that. He's going to skip over all the inventions. Just in America alone, all the inventions, you know what it is. But, like, he's describing black people from a perspective of this is their nature. This is just in their nature. It's not in them to conquer the world. And it's maybe he has a point. Maybe it's not in black people to conquer the world in the way that Europeans do. Because we don't when black people are in their boats and they're traveling from their ancient civilizations and they're traveling all around the world, they don't have to force people to bend the knee. They do their trade like civil, like that's real civilization. Like they do trade with people like civilized people do, and then they go back to their homeland, and that's it. It's really that simple. But Europeans don't see it that way because they're crazy as cat shit. All right, I'll land there.
No, Sister Cheryl, I 100% agree with you. That's what I got from it as well. I think he's speaking from this idea that if the Africans are in charge, we won't be allowed to be ruthless. We won't be allowed to destroy, to plunder and pillage. And he's saying that in the sense of, and that's what it's about. It's about running shit, destroying, keeping the foot on the necks. And the Africans ain't gonna do it. They're like children. They want to, I'm sure if you was to ask him further, he'll probably say they want to kumbaya and kind of live in peace and harmony, et cetera, et cetera. And we out here trying to make this money. We trying to win. We don't care about fairness. Remember that was that Richard Sherman fellow. I don't care about fairness. I'm just trying to win. And I think that's where he's coming from. But I'll be curious to hear what others have to say about it. Let me mix up a little bit. Anthony, what say you?
Yeah, Coco, y'all took the word. You took the words right out of my mouth. You were sure. I was like, okay. I mean, just listening at the prompt. Africans can't run things. Black people can't run things. Can't run. Black nations, African nations can't run things. And like you said, in the first place, I mean, I'm saying, remember, Coco, I put in the prompt. I said, you talking about a criminal critiquing his criminal victims. You know what I'm saying? Okay. What he does, what they do, let's use the example of Haiti. Okay, you interfere in the country in Haiti for 150 years. And then say they can't run shit. You know what I'm saying? They don't get a chance to run shit. You know what I'm saying? Because ever since after their independence, they've been having to deal with your ass with sanctions and all kind of military invasions, occupations. You know what I'm saying? I mean, y'all got your hand in something, exploiting the people, the economy, everything that they're doing in Haiti now. We wonder why Haiti can't, and they'll ask the question. They'll put it on Time magazine. Why Haiti can't get it together? They can't get it together because y'all asses keep interfering with their shit. You know what I'm saying? Y'all keep interfering. Okay, on the continent, in Africa, I mean, an African nation tried to get it together. Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso tried to get it together. Patrice Lumumba tried to get it together. In the Congo. What happened? Y'all come in and say, no, we ain't gonna have this shit, and assassinate them. You know what I'm saying? And disrupt the country. In the Congo now. I mean, with all of the riches, everything that the Congo has, the Congo is the richest piece of real estate in the world. You know what I'm saying? They get the right government in and have no interference from the West and from the outside. This country would be the dream place. You know what I'm saying? For African people. You know what I'm saying? It'll be the dream place. But what? They can't get it together because you motherfuckers keep disrupting shit. It takes me back to a perfect example in the 1890s when the Emperor Menelik II of Ethiopia, when he had finally consolidated his power, he had unified all of Ethiopia. You know what I'm saying? Centralized it, became a centralized nation, and a nation that the Europeans had to deal with because the Europeans had, for the most part, had colonized about 90% of Africa at that time. Well, the Italian government, they sent emissaries to Menelik, and what they said, Coco, they said, well, hey, look here, let us handle your international affairs. You know what I'm saying? And what that was the problem, you said, on the international scene. Well, they said that the Menelik, let us represent you in Europe, in the West. Let us handle your international affairs. And basically, they was trying to say that, well, you can't handle your own shit, so let us handle it for you. And we'll take it. And basically, they was trying to take over his country. And what he had to do? He had to show them. He had to show them better than he could tell them, and had to whoop their ass on the battlefield. But I'm saying it's that whole mindset that we as black people can't run shit. They know we could run shit because, like Cheryl said, we've been running shit forever. No, we had peaceful kingdoms and we had empires and everything, but not like we didn't have to leave outside of Africa and go and conquer Asia and conquer Eurasia and conquer Europe and conquer nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we didn't have to do all that because we had everything that we needed right here, in Africa. So we didn't have to do that and go and dominate and take other people's shit outside of Africa, stuff like that, because we had our thing. And it's just like, that ain't like, sure, that's not our nature to go and be brutal and conduct war and build Roman empires. They talk about the Roman Empire and Alexander the Great in Macedonia, in military schools and everything, and they glorify all this shit. You talking about you glorified going and murdering and mass murdering and killing millions of people and all kind, what I'm saying, criminal activity. You know what I'm saying? That's what you glorified, and they glorify that. That just ain't our nature as African people. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have that kind of thing. Like Sharon said, we had everything that we need. We didn't come from a thawed out ice box with no resources. We didn't have that, so we didn't have to do that. And it is the nature where these people come from. You know what I'm saying? Or their origins and like scrubbing, fighting, and stealing and knocking each other in the head for everything. They figure like the whole world need to be like that to be on top. It's just like, it's just, I mean, I laughed when I heard it, man. Like I said, you talking about a criminal critiquing a crime victim. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's just funny to me, man. I laughed right there.
Appreciate that, Brother Anthony. In the chat, Culture and Education makes a great point. He says, notice Nixon doesn't differentiate between continental black people and U.S.-based black people. I thought that was a interesting point there, and you're right. He does not. He does not make a distinction. Triggavi262 plus in the chat said this paradigm of black people dominating the jester stuff, but the intelligent stuff for white people is a paradigm they keep and maintain. In reality, we would excel in all these things. With that said, let's welcome in our brother Bakari this week. Brother Bakari, how are you?
What's going on? What's going on, everybody?
Yes, sir. Good to see you, Bakari. How are you?
I'm great, man. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Y'all can hear me? Okay. I would listen to what he was saying. I agree with what Anthony said. That's the victim. That's the victimizer, judging the victim. And I also, when him and Cheryl say we were peaceful people. But in all honesty, to live in this world and deal with other people, man, all this peaceful shit is why part of the reason in this position that we're in. Now, we can say what the Europeans did was wrong, and I can agree with that. But everybody have done that. It didn't start with the Europeans. The Mongolians dominated them and treated them the way they treated everybody before they got power to do it to anybody else. So being peaceful and friendly and letting everybody in your country is part of the reason we're here now. Like when Shaka Zulu told the British Army, you can bring your army here. We don't care. You'll never defeat us. Gave them land in South Africa. And they haven't left and been on our backs ever since. So for me, right, they say we're like children. I won't say we're like children, but I did say sometimes we act like children. We act as if we can't do anything on our own. And I know people don't like it when I say it, but I'm just looking at what's going on. How many people do y'all hear bragging on, oh, look what Russia and China are doing for Africa? So then I asked the question, but what are Africans doing for Africans? How many people we are waiting on Russia to be able to defeat America, and then we think we'll be free. But what are we doing here to create our own freedom? What are we doing to create our own liberation? Sometime in order to defeat the people that you're complaining about, sometimes you're going to have to look at them and learn and be able to do the stuff that they do. If they're going to keep their foot on your neck, you're going to have to take your foot off. You're going to have to take their foot off your neck and put your foot on their neck and put your foot on everybody's neck that has chosen their side. Or if not, we still going to be here saying we're peaceful people. They came in with their religions. not just the Europeans, the Arabs, all of them. When we look and we see, even today in 2026, how often do we have to beg people to go past the Arab in the East Indian gas station? But we say they call it a convenience store. It's convenient. It's in our neighborhood. It's convenient for them. It's an inconvenience for us. Because I call it resource extraction. Anthony was talking about the wealth of the Congo. Now look at the wealth of the black community. We always brag on, man, we got 1 point some trillion dollars. But they come in, they extract the resources and will run you down in the middle of the street and shoot you. Or they will shoot and kill a little black girl, or they'll beat the black women in the nail salon with their sticks. We gonna have to understand, you know what? We have let people tell us something wrong with being racist. We don't want to be that because people have been racist and bigoted toward us. So people have shamed us for not saying, I'm going to stick with us, and I'm going to stick with us. And then I'm going to stick with us some more. And then I'm going to stick with us just a little bit more. See, it's to a point now when people talking about unite, black people going to have to figure out a way to ally with one another because we are so splintered, right? We're going to have to become allies because we see ourselves so different than one another. You understand? So for me, do I agree with what he said? But he did what they still do now. They relegate us to entertainment. They're great. Even Cheryl mentioned all the inventions, but he won't talk about that. Oh, being athletic, that's a great being great in sports. That's a great accomplishment. Where would the Pittsburgh Pirates be without all of the black players on their team? The music and the dance, yes, that's great, and it adds to our culture. They relegate us to that, and they want to push. That's all we are, but we know we are much more than that. But I also believe eventually we're going to have to stand up, stick our chests out, let our nuts hang, and shit, you might just have to do to them what they doing to us. And on that, I yield the mic.
Appreciate it, Brother Bakari. Couldn't agree more. Sister Raw's out in the chat saying greetings to me and all of us here. Good to see you, Sister Raw. She says, great to have you back. I guess she's talking to me. Yeah, I'm back this week. Jacadero had another function to deal with, so I'm here with you guys. Glad to be with you guys as well. But Anthony stepped off the panel briefly. He's in the middle of something. I think he'll be back. So in the meantime, man, Black Steel, you've heard everything everyone else had to say. What say you to all of it?
So Richard Nixon saying something racist is like finding a fork in the kitchen, right? That's where it's so. But my question is, he says Africans can't run things. I have a question about one about that can't, right? Is it that we don't have the ability to run things, or that we should not be allowed to run things, right? That's kind of where I'm wondering, because when he says we can't run things, right? And this is definitely spoken within the context of, post-World War II, Cold War era, United States and whatnot. And many African nations belong to, well, actually most of them belong to what is called the non-aligned movement, right? So, the world is basically divided between the two superpowers of the time, United States and the Soviet Union. United States being first world, Soviets and their allies being the second world. And then you have the third world, which is the world, or more known better as the non-aligned movement, countries who don't choose either side. We don't choose to be with the Soviets. We don't choose to be with the United States. We're doing our own thing. So when he says they can't run things, right, he's ignoring the fact that Africa is already organized and they're running their own non-aligned movement. And then, the United States is trying to destabilize whatever they're trying to do, which is why they went after the Lumumba. They felt he was too friendly with the Soviets, and they were wanting to nationalize their resources, so they killed him. Right. So here we have Africans who are already doing their own thing, minding their business. And here you are wanting to believe that, oh, we can't run anything. It's not really, and this is another manifestation of the white man's burden, right? He's talking about how they're childlike, that I love them, my children. They're so good at running and jumping. It's like when you see your kid hit a home run. Oh, that's so good, champ! Congratulations! You know, you're taking the Pizza Hut afterwards because he hit a home run or whatever, right? That's how they view Africans. They view them as very childlike, as simple people, and this is just his. And I believe, I don't know if he's talking to Ronald Reagan in this thing or not, because I remember he had something he was talking about negative about Africans to Ronald Reagan at one point. But just again, this is just another manifestation of the white man's burden. Black people can do whatever we want to do. You know, there's nothing wrong with our intellect. There's nothing wrong with our organizational capacity, but their view of running things, right, is basically running things the way the white hegemon wants to run it, right? They want it to be run to where a state of constant warfare, destroying, ignoring other countries' sovereignty, consuming natural resources to the point of exhaustion. That's how they feel the world should be run, right? That's how they feel the world should be governed, right? Under global white hegemony, global white domination, and that Africans have no part to play in it. And to his point, I don't think we need to run the world that way. We can see how the world is right now, and we can see it's not really doing a bang up job. So if he says black people can't run things, how has the European run things, right? Tell me how the European has run things so wonderfully, right? Tell us how the world is literally being brought to the brink of destruction, economic collapse, resource collapse, economic inequality. Just show me how the European has done this great job running things. Mr. Nixon, you know, he's dead in hell right now. If he's looking up at me right now, I would say, show me how you guys have ran things so well. You know, it's about time somebody else ran things, because in the time that they've run things, this world has not improved any one iota, right? And there doesn't need to be one country running things. I believe there is room. What we really seek is multipolarity. We want to have a multipolar world and respect for the rule of law. And this is not a world the European wants, right? Because that means they can't just run up and steamroll another country, take their resources, kidnap and kill their leaders. You know, that's really what they don't want. So, yeah, fuck Nixon and everything he stands for. I'll leave it there.
I thought you ended that well. In the chat, Sister Cheryl says he's talking about by nature. Africans can't run things the way they need to be run to sustain the West's domination in the world. Or Bakari in the chat said to Black Steel, it's both. They don't believe we have the ability to run anything or should be allowed to run anything. Trigger Happy says we have myriads of evidence that we can, in fact, run things. They know we can run things. They don't want us to run things and will prevent that possibility, of course.
I agree with that.
Brother Bakari also says they run everything in the ground. They destroy everything they touch. That's how they run shit. Trigger says, to be fair, even in perspective, them running things well for themselves would lead to a world destruction, like, for example, the sixth mass extinction, global issue of lack of ecological diversity. You know, it's funny, Trigger, I was just reading about the 5 mass extinction events that occurred. They will be, if we don't get our shit together, because these other groups, and we don't talk about these Asians and stuff in the next prompt, these other groups ain't trying to do nothing. If these folks continue with this, we will enter into that 6th mass extinction event. To my panelists, is there any last thoughts on this prompt before I go to Shooter Breeze topic number 3?
I would say,
well,
I don't think.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I would say I don't think I think white people talk like that, but I think it's a cover for the fact that they truly believe that if the right black people with the right mindset, I think they're more scared than more. I think they think both things. Okay, so they think that black people are like children and la la la, you know, white man's burden, and they need to protect us like little children. I think they think that, but I think they also think under that, they think that we will run things so well that they will be stamped out of existence, and I think they're scared of black people having their own control over their own resources because the- they're, I mean, they're essentially parasites. So, I mean, you having your own stuff and running your own stuff means that if we're not in control, then we can't dictate to you what, you know, what to do and what not to do. So I think it's more about that. It's just kind of like that video that you showed Koku. It was like months ago about it wasn't a real video, but it's what white people fear the most. It was a video about um it was like what would happen if white people had to rely on immigration and flood into African nations because it was something about Europe was dying or something. I don't know if you remember that. And it was the black person at the immigration office telling the white people and the white families that they couldn't enter Africa because
Oh yeah.
something about remember I was cracking up. But it's funny, but that's what they really think. They believe eventually it's gonna come to that. They truly fear that. So I think that that's mostly what they fear. Not land there.
Yeah, I remember that. That was from like a movie scene. That was like a movie, like a comedy or something. Yeah, yeah. I do vaguely remember it. Um, let's go to shoot a breeze start with number three, and this is when we get into the conversation I think all of us want to have. Shoot a breeze topic number three says truthful shots fired, and it had a video of an Asian talking about if we're going to boycott. And I'm still going to play that video, but before I do that, though, I think it's only fair if I talk about what caused that Asian to come out here and challenge black folks, and that is the Rick Chow murder trial. So let's go to that first. Let me stop sharing here. Let's go to the Rick Chow murder case. Drop a sad face or a crying emoji if you're familiar with what went on this damn week with Rick Chow and that case down in South Carolina. So make sure you guys can see my screen. You can. So this is the video that summarizes the Rick Chow murder trial, and then I'll play the original attachment that goes along with this prompt.
And good evening now. We begin tonight with the latest in the Rick Chow murder trial, as today marks 3 years since 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton was shot and killed outside a Columbia gas station.
And today, jurors heard hours of emotional testimony from witnesses while also seeing newly released body camera and store surveillance video from the day of that shooting. We want to show you one of those moments right now.
I don't got no water in my pocket, but I'll show you water.
In this video, you see Cyrus wearing a red jacket, telling Rick Chow's wife he does not have any water in his pockets before picking up his backpack and walking out of the store.
And shortly after, Cyrus was chased by Rick Chow and his son, Andy, before the teenager was shot.
News 19's Kiki Gushu was in the courtroom for all of today's testimony and the moment these videos were shown to jurors.
She is joining us right now from outside the Richland County Courthouse with the latest update. Hi there, Kiki.
Erica, JR, today's testimony moved what happened in the street that night Cyrus Cormac Belton was shot and moved back into the Shell gas station that Rick Chow owned. Now today, most of the afternoon was spent showing the jurors, the prosecution showing the jurors, surveillance video from that Shell gas station. They also brought to the stand a new witness, investigator Tama Jordan. Now, the state played surveillance footage showing Cyrus inside the store and questioned former investigator Tama Jordan about the gas station's camera system. Jordan testified Rick Chow's familiar with the surveillance equipment, and prosecutors repeatedly asked whether those cameras could have been used to help identify Cyrus later rather than chasing him.
Do you think you would have some tools to help identify him?
Yes.
And investigate whether or not he had stolen water?
Yes.
Do you feel confident law enforcement could have handled this?
Absolutely.
Also presented testimony from a firearms expert who said the bullet recovered in the case matched a Glock 45. Late in the day, the defense shifted its focus to Cyrus's possession of a firearm, showing jurors a social media photo taken the night before the shooting that's holding the same gun found at the scene. The final witness of the day was a forensic pathologist who testified about the path of the bullet through Cyrus's body, as attorneys continue to debate what his position was the moment he was shot. And court has now wrapped for the day. The state is expected to rest tomorrow, and then it will be the defense's turn to bring witnesses to the stand. At 11, I'll be bringing you a recap of all of today's testimony. Stay tuned for that. And I'll be in the courtroom for the rest of this trial, bringing you the latest. Live in Richland County, Kiki Gushu, News 19, WLTX.
All right, Kiki, thank you so much.
News 19's Christy Calcagno sat down with an attorney today to get a better understanding of what happened today. Take a listen.
About with this video in the convenience store, there were parts that we were able to hear everything, which was also really interesting. And then also kind of those close-up shots, also specifically showing the water bottles.
Yes.
The moment on that, kind of break that down for me. I mean, we were able to see some close-up shots. And like we said, all of this happening in the span of 2 minutes.
Right. I think the video clearly shows he didn't steal anything. You see him go to the cooler and, I counted, he took 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he kind of pauses and puts 1, 2, 3, 4 back. So then when he leaves, it kind of left me wondering, well, what was his purpose for going there to begin with? Because he gets the water bottles. He knows he's being watched, right? Because they tell him to put his backpack up. And he complies with that. He follows that rule. Okay, fine. So he puts the backpack where he's told to put his backpack. But then he takes the 4 water bottles and puts them back and then leaves the store without taking anything. I think if I were a juror here, I would know, well, he didn't shoplift anything. He didn't take anything. They're clearly from this video accusing him and they think he did. They probably, in our mindset, we're looking very intently counting, those water bottles because we know this case and what the issues are. But, I would leave with several questions. One, like clearly he didn't steal anything. He didn't take anything. They clearly thought he did. But 2, so what was his purpose for being there? Why did he go there? But, in social media, I've seen some of the comments talk about it and people's, wasting time. I'll go into a store and just peruse around and window shop. And I've done that too. So maybe he was just walking around the neighborhood and, it's May, it's hot. He had a hoodie on, maybe just going in to get some air and wandering around. But it is very odd. It is odd that he took 4 water bottles out and then just put them right back.
Well, if you are interested in keeping up with this trial, we do have extensive coverage for you, including live streaming from inside the courtroom when allowed, plus daily recaps, breaking updates, and analysis.
So jurors heard both sides, deliberated for, I think it was 6 to 8 hours, and came back and said that this guy, Rick, I think it was Rick Chow, Rick Chow, was not guilty of murder, even though, as you saw discussed there, his kid Cyrus Cormac Belton didn't take anything from the store. In fact, not only did he not take anything, he was running away from these people. And he did a video where you can see the son who's involved in this. The wife was walking around the store following Cyrus, hurry up and buy type of bullshit. And they chased this kid, from what is being reported, they chased this kid for over the length of a football field. And he ends up shot to death, shot in the back. They claim that they found a gun in his backpack. They didn't say they found it in his hand, at least not to my knowledge. They said they found a gun on him. And then these Asian guys, father and son who chased him down, claims that he pulled the gun and aimed it at the son. And so the father, this Rick Chow, had no choice but to kill the kid because he aimed the gun at the son. I personally, I'm going to be real honest with y'all, I don't believe that. In fact, I don't even believe the gun that they found on him was his. But that's just my personal thing. So this guy is found, this Asian store owner is found guilty. And real quick, I'll say this. I noticed something very interesting about non-black people. I'm not going to just say white folks, but non-black people. A lot of white and non-black people kept repeating this lie that the kid shouldn't have stole. The kid shouldn't have stole, when that was immediately debunked. But for some reason, and we know the reasons, right? But these guys kept saying that this kid stole, he shouldn't have stole. Okay. So, of course, you know what happens when these things happen. Black folks start talking about boycotting. And when that talk of boycott started to catch on social media, there was an Asian man. Let me set up and share the screen for that. There was an Asian man who came on here and issued a challenge to black folks about, around what'll happen, basically, if you boycott. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen. You can. So we're going to listen to this guy. This is from a tweet from Black Alchemist, Jamaican flag. Says, I'm done with them. By the way, notice Jamaican flag, right? Caribbean person. He's telling you I'm done with them. And I have been for a long time. But it's a lot of our people who continue to patronize them, talking about Asians and their businesses. We need to get like them and have our own businesses in our own communities. Let them serve who they love best, whitey. So let's hear what this Asian piece of shit has to say about the whole thing.
I love when a black community says, let's boycott Asian businesses. Please do. We'll get rid of the Chinese takeout, the dry cleaners, the laundromats. Let's get rid of the liquor stores as well. Get rid of the Jordans you guys wear, the Nikes you wear, the shower caps, the Hondas, the Hyundais, all your car electricians, the electronics in your house, the Sony, the TV system, your sound system, the microphones that you guys use to rap and speak about awareness for the black culture and the hip hop culture. Where do you think that's made in? That's made all in Asia. And here's another thing for you guys. You guys want us to leave the neighborhood so bad? Oh, Asian people are not neighborhoods? We're in white neighborhoods. We have our own Chinatown. We have our own Koreatown. You think we really need you guys to benefit off and make money? A lot of us do go to college as well. You're being outworked by immigrants who barely speak English. And you're not embarrassed? Go to the bank, start your own businesses, and deal with your own people. I want to see your own women get on their hands and knees and do pedicures and manicures and deal with nasty-ass attitudes, okay? Please, boycott Asian business. I'm all for it.
So that's that yellow piece of shit and what he had to say. Let's, I didn't do this before.
I love when a black...
But let me see what some of the comments are saying. Some white boy named Steve says, you done with them? You know how tired everyone is of you? And Black Alchemist says, get your pale dog smelling ass out of my mentions, which I appreciate. This looks like a black woman. Am I right? Says, I don't want a community with y'all either. It's a race war out here, and y'all are nationalists. And I mean this. Everyone goes in their corner Black Alchemist says, yeah, with Asians, question mark. No, I don't. But they have never been a community with us and never intended to. So, that's some of the comments based on what this Asian piece of shit. Let me put them up on the screen just so we could, keep in mind who we're talking about. Trigger Happy says Godfrey had a good response to this video. I saw Godfrey's video. I didn't see the content of it, but I saw another video, and I can't believe I forgot to put it on my list here. But there was a black guy who came on. I think I may have reposted it on my Twitter page. You guys can go on Twitter on my page and check it out. But there was a black guy, young black guy too, black American guy. He said, listen, all that electronics and shit, that's back in Asia. That's y'all building that shit in Asia. We don't really care about y'all in Asia. We worrying about y'all who are here around us. And then he went into the whole idea of boycotting and why. And I really did appreciate that, because some people will be defeated by this Asian guy. Oh shit, I can't get Jordans. No, that shit that's over there. We don't. You're in our communities behind bulletproof glass, selling whatever the fuck it is y'all selling, and you never contribute nothing to the community. You never buy from folks. When kids go into these stores, these Asian stores, and they're trying to sell their little T-shirts or chocolates or whatever, these Asian folks don't buy shit from them. Not one shit. So it's time to boycott them. Black men, black women, black children. Before I came to do the show tonight, I was rushing home, and I walked past this corner Asian place, and I saw black folks in there, and I wanted to stop at the door and be like, hey, y'all get the fuck out of here. Don't y'all see what they do? But I didn't have the time, nor did they look like a receptive audience, which is another problem we have too. We gotta start being a little bit more receptive to one another. Anyway, I've said enough. Let me start off here with Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari, what are your thoughts on Shoot the Breeze topic number 3?
Well, a young brother didn't steal anything. Them childs need to be dead, but that's back to my point on the last post is we that peaceful bullshit need to be we that peaceful people bullshit need to be thrown out the door. Because ain't nobody peaceful with us. I've been said the hell with Asians. I don't spend money. I don't spend money with Asians, but like you said, sometimes our people or they're not receptive. Like I don't shit. I found the gas station here it's not 100% on. It's like 40% on African. So that's why I go if I'm gonna. But I don't very seldom purchase gas. I get my gas free. But if I buy some gas, that's why I'm going. But as far as what he said, man, the hell with them Asians, and they made a lot of stuff cheap that was no good, right? They made a lot of stuff cheap that was no good. So, in all honesty, they can say, and maybe they built themselves up from no good, cheap products, but fuck Sony and all of that. It's time for black people to make a stance in one way or another. Like you're gonna have to fight back one way or another. You have to stop being peaceful all the way around. We peaceful when other people attack us. We're gonna still be peaceful with our dollars. It's okay, and we really have to stop saying it's a convenience, because it's not a convenience for us. It's inconvenient to us. Like I said, it's resource extraction. It's inconvenience to us. It's convenient to them. And the one is a convenience for them, is inconvenient with them. And there's so much pressure here. We don't have time to sit down and think about, you know what, we're going to open this business. And when we do open the business, black folk, I'm going to tell y'all now, because I hear it all the time. Please, every time, stop, well, this costs too much, that costs too much. It's okay to understand why. If you want to know why some things are running, especially with the prices of some of the goods that they sell. It's okay if you want to know somebody like me who has delivered them and been in the process of buying and selling to them. You will understand why black businesses sometimes is a little bit more expensive. It's not because they want to. That's most of the time. It's not because they want to be. Stop looking for something negative to say about black people so we can go spend our money with somebody else and put ourselves and put other people on a pedestal and put ourselves down. But like I said, man, fuck them gooks, them chinks. You know, that's my thought a year to make.
Brother Bakari, before you fully yield and I move on to the next panelist, the person who posted this prompt isn't here. But I'm curious, what do you think, if you had to guess, what do you think the prompt means? Truthful, shots fired, explosion emojis, 100. What do you think that means?
It seemed like he caping for the Asian, like the Asian is right. Truthful shots fired. Look, so anybody who say truthful shot fired, so if anybody think this little gook on Twitter got some power where once we boycott them MNFs over here, now they people might stick together and they that people gonna stop sending TVs and computers, selling TVs and computers to this country. They are out of their damn mind. And some of that stuff he's talking about that Asian own is not even made in Asia. Like you can go throughout the United States and you see Hyundai plants made here. You see Toyota plants made here. It's owned by Asians, but shit, it's made here. So somebody saying truthful shots fired. What was truthful about what he said? Asians make computers and cell phones. Okay. They own the companies. Okay, but they sell them here. And because, so there was nothing truthful about that, but it seemed like somebody who want a cape for them. That's just my opinion.
I appreciate that honesty, Brother Bakari. What's that brother? I forgot his name, but the Black Talk Radio guy. Some years ago, I forgot what them Asians did, and I said on Twitter, man, boycott their business. That guy, I can't think of his name right now, from Black Talk Radio. He said, why we boycotting Mr. Chen and them? I was like, huh? He's like, Mr. Chen and them was good to me. I was good to black folks around here. I said, oh, okay, you got it, brother. So when I saw this truthful shots fired, I mean, are we so afraid of not having a Chinese restaurant in our neighborhood? Are we so afraid of not having a nail salon in our neighborhood? Right? Like, what are we afraid of? Sister Alma, what do you think it is?
I was like, oh my God, please come to me before I forget everything. Listen, as soon as he put up this video, he took it down. Because do not give us a challenge, because we will meet that challenge. All right. Like what he was saying, the Ricari was talking about how all of the stuff that he named is stuff that we truly do not need. And I say challenge accepted. So I listen. I've already been doing it. Like I don't rock with them because I used to hang around. I was in my younger days. I used to hang around a lot of Asians. I know how they are. I know how they are. But really, not just Asians. It's all non-black people. All of them have the same. They have the same mentality towards us. So I think when we're like, oh, we're gonna boycott the Asians, if you're not also boycotting at least some of these other businesses, some of these other places that shouldn't be in our neighborhood, then we're not doing everything that we should be doing. And this isn't even the first time a black child has been shot dead. It's one other time I think a child was shot in the back of the Asian guy shot a child in the back of the head because they thought they was quote unquote stealing something. Regardless of if they were stealing something or not, is not the point. Even if he did steal something, if it was a white child that stole something, if it was anything but a black child that stole something, this would not have been the outcome. So it's not even the point. I think the fact that he didn't steal anything and then chased him thereafter just proves the Asian community's hatred and just vitriol that they have for us. They cannot stand us, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. But a lot of people are not okay with that. Asian people do not go to black businesses. Black women should not be buying hair from them. You should not be getting your nails done. This is a thing that should have been happening. And unfortunately, they're going to continue doing it because it's not the first time a black child got shot. That's inconsequential. That means absolutely nothing to black people because we need these things. That's why they exist. It's supply and demand. They're there because you guys demand it. If you just stop going there and y'all just looked at the Asian business like, we don't need that, get that out of here, it would be gone in a matter of days. Like I've seen it happen in West Philly. I've seen beauty shops close up right away. Like I've seen them. They can close up, and if they don't need us, then they can get out. Like, but they won't. They're not going to get out because Asians believe that they're honorary whites. They believe that they have been ordained by white people to go in and do whatever they want. They have a different type of vitriol for black people than white people do. White people look at us and they see children. Asian people look at us and they see a bag. There's a different type of hate. So the fact that they got hubris, man. They bold. They think they can just run up and do anything they want. And guess who is the largest supporter? And we have to talk about this because it's something that black women just hate to talk about. And yeah, it's all black people, but guess who's contributing to the it's like 1.4, 1.3 billion dollar industry um of hair care products and hair and nails. You know how much a woman spends on nails? And all of the reason that they have the hubris, that they have the balls, that they have to do what they do is because you give them so much money to come back and crack on you. That's why they do what they do. They're not gonna be doing that to no Indian. They're not gonna be doing that to no Arab and nothing like that. They're doing it to you because you allow them to do it. So what was the prompt that it said? It said shots fired. What it said? The thing. It said truthful shots fired. You can't be mad at somebody that say that. You know why? Because it's so many freaking years that I don't wholly disagree with that in the sense that we as a black community, we've been giving them so much money over since since Asians were allowed to given the skills to do nails. It's a whole history behind it and come into the black neighborhood. Since white people allowed that, um they've been doing that since like the 60s and civil rights. So whenever they came, they've been doing it for many years. It's time to cut it out. So yes, truthful shots fired. Yes, truthful shots fired. Yes, it is. Yeah, no, they didn't. All of those things that they got in our community, they're not things that we need. So I don't agree with in that sense truthful shots fired, but truthful shots fired in the sense that it's long overdue that you boycott these people. This is not the first time they've shot a black child or black people in general. This is not the first time. We acting like this is the first time. That's what you think in the comments because people's memory is so short. So yeah, truthful shots fired, and that challenge accepted. If you haven't already, been doing it, then you behind. Like this shouldn't even make you. It should have been a thing that black people should be doing. And I'll land my plane.
I appreciate that. And this is why every week we attempt and we plead to have black women come onto the panel because we need y'all's input. It can't just be black men speaking from their perspective. We need black women to speak on their perspective as well. Trigger Happy in the chat says, no matter what, even if Cyrus, took those water bottles, his life should never be the consequence. The fact that other groups debate that as an opening to take his life says a lot about how they see us. He goes on to say, Trigger does, you see so many times in Africa, theft isn't dealt with much differently. A thief might be told to dance, to do some hard labor and cleaning. The consequence is never the life of the thief at all. I'll tell you something I found out last year. A guy I knew, because I knew his family, all of them are dead now, but apparently this guy I knew was around a Chinese store at night, and he didn't have any weapons. The Chinaman came out, shot him, killed him, and the government didn't do nothing about that guy, that Chinese guy. Wasn't like they found evidence that the kid I knew, when we were young, it wasn't any evidence that he broke into anything. The Chinaman just came out and shot him for being around the back of his store, some shit like that. And it's it shows you a disdain that they have for black people all over, not just here. Recently in Jamaica, if I remember correctly, there was some Chinese business, some Asian business that flat out wouldn't accept black folks in Jamaica. You know what the Jamaicans did with that business? They burned that to the ground. So it's a thing that we have to get on a unified outlook on, and we got to take it to these people. This guy on the screen thought he said something. He thought he said something. I didn't know it, but Sister Cheryl just let us know that he took it down. Too late. Challenge accepted by me personally. Right? But all that, let me tell you something. If black folks really stood together and boycott these Asians, these motherfuckers will be begging us to come back around them. They'll come up with all the fake smiles. Yeah, Sister Ross said it was a hotel of all things in Jamaica, that they wouldn't let black folks work in and come around and stuff like that. They burned the shit down. Bravo. Bravo to them. We got to do the same thing wherever we are. With that said, man, Black Steel, let's see you to all of it.
So I know Cheryl mentioned the person who was shot by the Chinese person. That was Latasha Harlins in the 90s in LA. And it was a Korean store owner who shot her in the back of the head. She was supposedly stealing a bottle of juice. And she put the juice on the table and walked away. And then she shot her in the back of the head. And what really makes it so bad is that she was the Korean one was actually found guilty. And the jury recommended her a prison sentence. And the judge gave her 3 months probation and community service. So during the LA riots in 92, they burned her store to the ground. She ended up going back to South Korea. I gotta say,
wait, hold on, Black Seal.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. You're leaving out an important part.
What?
She got convicted of that, and the judge went to the prison and saw this Asian woman looking unhappy and decided that, you know what, she ain't gonna make it.
I didn't know that. I just know the judge gave her probation. The jury recommended prison time. I didn't know she went to the prison and saw her and felt sad for her.
Yes, a white bitch.
That's wild.
White bitch went to the prison and saw her and was like, oh, I don't think she's gonna make it. So they got her up out of here.
That's wild.
They got her back to her hometown.
She
probably. I'm sorry, Black Silk.
But yeah, she probably wasn't gonna make it. She's right about that. But and then we remember a couple years ago where the Chinese people were attacking black women in the hair store and the hair salon. They were beating on them, and then some black men went out to protest the store, shut the store down, and those Chinese people gave them a 50% off discount in the store, and you had black women arguing with the brothers. A lot of black men saw that and said, "We give up. You know, here we are trying to protest, but they mark your shit half off and just like whatever, fuck all that black unity and whatnot. So, you know, I agree with the boycott. I personally, I don't really go to the local convenience stores. My convenience stores, you know, they're usually owned by Persian. They got but usually I don't go to convenience stores like that. The Chinese food, like I mean, you know what? We live in an anti-black world. And to be American, you got to be anti-black. So it's no coincidence that these Asian people, be they from China, Vietnam, Korea, Thailand, they all have negative views and hatred against black people. There was a story, I think it was not so long ago in New York, where this Asian cop shot a black man in the back. Akai Gurley was his name. He knocked on the door. Asian cop came around the thing, shot the man in the face, shot the man in the back and killed him. And you had Asian people rallying for this Asian cop who shot this unarmed black man, saying, well, white cops get off all the time for shooting black people, so why should we face charges? Right? They do want to be white people, right? They want to be accepted within the global white hegemony, right? And part of that is to shit on black people. I don't know if the sentiment is held by Chinese people in China. I don't really care if it is or not, you know. Whatever solidarity might be found with other races of people, at this point, who gives a damn, right? We got to look out for ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. And if that he says boycott their businesses, that's nothing. That's nothing. The problem is that they a lot of Asian people corner the market when it comes to like getting hair and stuff. A lot of hair comes from places like India. You know, a lot of Indian women are shaving their heads. Thailand, Myanmar. So they control, you know, the trade routes that brings that hair into the United States. We don't need that. We really have to understand and have value for ourselves. And I'm sorry, a lot of black people, a lot of our people have low racial esteem, right? They don't care about other black people. It's all about what I can get for me. That don't have nothing to do. I can hear it now. That don't got nothing to do with me. Is the response. Not understanding that next person that Mr. Zhao beats on could be you, right? They don't look at the larger picture, right? This is what we call the lumpen people who are oppressed people who have no desire for liberation, right? Their aspirations are purely materialistic, right? I want to look cute. I want these nails look cute. This hair look cute. I'm going to get it, right? I want to go to the store. I don't want to feel like driving to the African store. The niggas is funny, whatever. I'm going to get what I can from these Chinese people, for these Asian people, for these Arab people. When we say Asia is the largest continent, right? And Vietnamese, Korean, Chinese, Thai, whatever the fuck, right? Black people have to be intentional. We have to understand the threat that is against our people. And I don't believe enough of us understand that, right? Enough of us realize that anti-blackness is a global ideology. You're not going to go anywhere. Okay, you might find a nice Asian person here and there. Okay, that's fine. You know, you might find some good Vietnamese people, whatever. Who gives a fuck if there's one or two? Because their overall ideology is fuck these niggas, right? And it's when you look at the history of China and whatnot, we understand how China was treated by the Europeans. And how Europeans, the British and the French, the Americans and the Germans just came to China and just did whatever they wanted to with them. Got their people hooked on drugs and waged war on them. And then they helped from the Japanese. And the Japanese was taking the women from Korea and using them as sex slaves and whatnot. But they never have that smoke for white people. right? I think Mao was the last one. He said on camera, we want to kill all the white people. That was the last. Ever since then, it's not been in opposition, but it's always about how can we compete with white people, but like we can compete with them like a friendly competition. But the people who actually committed the crimes against humanity towards Asian people, black people didn't drop 2 nukes on Japan. We didn't do that. Black people didn't go to the Philippines and murder the Filipinos. That was Americans. But yet that hatred is never directed towards them. They know who to pick on. They know who to mess with, right? Black people have to get intentional. We have to, again, this goes back to the conversation about South Africa, right? It's too late in the fucking day, man. We are really behind. Black people as a group, we need a late pass, right? Because the rest of the world, we see the global realignment shifting, right? And we're still doing the same shit we've been doing for the past 100, 150 years. Latasha Harlins happened when I was in high school. You know? That was a big thing. He shot his girl. And then here I'm grown. I'm in my 40s. And it's the same shit happening. What have we done? Yeah, we burned that Korean bitch store down back then. But now we haven't even done that. The police have a perimeter around the child store at this point. You know, they're making sure they don't burn it down because that's their plan, right? But I'm pretty sure there's still black people trying to patronize his business. And here's the kicker. Let me say this about the jury trial. There were 5 black people on that jury. 5 black people saw this shit and voted to acquit and agreed not guilty. That says a lot about our people. We're talking about boycotting Asian businesses. No. We ain't even at the point where we can stand up for a black child yet. So boycott Asian businesses, that's you know, at this point, that's college level work. And we're still focusing on middle school level shit. If you can sit up here and see a black child get murdered, I don't care if it's a hung jury. Try them again until you find them guilty. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm really disappointed about my people and their reactions these past couple of weeks and how they responding to literally Jim Crow 2.0 or 3.0, really, if you want to look at it. I'm just, you know, disappointed in how we're responding as a group. We're not ready, and we got to get ready because what's coming down the pike ain't gonna be pretty. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Black. So you mentioned Akai Gurley. I think it was the Akai Gurley thing that happened when I mentioned boycotting Asian businesses a couple years back, and that guy from Black Talk Radio was like, "Why would we boycott Mr. Chen and them?" And I think culture education is hitting the nail on the head about that. He said there was historical Afro-Asian solidarity in the 1950s with the Badong Conference, so that's why some quote-unquote revolutionary black folk rock with them, especially Maoists, and that is a problem. 1950s, what have you done for me lately?
But I'm gonna say this too. Also too, I'm gonna say this. What happens many times is when these countries have their revolution, it's the collaborators come to the United States. So these are like the people who were against the communist revolution in China, who were against the land reform. Many of them were landlords who had their land stolen by the communists and redistributed, just like in Cuba, right? What Fidel Castro called the gusanos, right? The worms, basically. When the Cuban Revolution happened, the people who owned the land, who were the reactionaries, who didn't want the Cuban revolutionaries to take power, they came to the United States. They fled to the U.S., right? And that's why Cubans had that reputation of being racist, because many of the racist ones who, when Fidel Castro came and took power and integrated everything, they left Cuba. And they were like, well, fuck it. We can't hate niggas over here. We just hate niggas over there, right? So I think a lot of times what happened, people look at that history, but then the Chinese people who came to the United States, these Koreans and whatnot, those are the traitors. Those are reactionaries. Those are the racists that left their country that came to the United States because they were given passage here. So I think that's something that many times gets people have lost sight of that too.
I appreciate that, Black Steel. I know I saw the matron. Yes, the matron is in the chat. Another Black woman. I appreciate your input, matron. She says every other people group sees violence as the answer. Black people, we need to learn this lesson and stop trying to defy physics. I like that, matron. Stop trying to defy physics. It is what it is. You have to meet. Listen, man, once what happened after 1492 or 1515, however you want to look at it, once what happened, we have been changed. We have been transformed, like Bakari said earlier. All that nice shit that that's done with now. Unfortunately, that's done with now. And now we got to face the reality. This goes back to what Nixon was saying too. The world is harsh. We got to be harsh to keep up with it. Kofi the Black Critic is in the chat. Kofi the Black Critic said, okay, here it goes. He said the Asian told no lies. This goes back to the prompt as it was stated. The prompt was stated as truthful shots fired. So Kofi says the Asian told no lies. He gave Black people a challenge of economic challenge of solidarity and providing for each other. For us to be mad at that shows us how weak we are. Does anyone want to respond to what Kofi the Black Critic said in the chat?
Not really exactly what he said in the chat, but when they say he told no lies about them making the stuff they make, I don't know any Black people mad about what he said, but I haven't met anyone that was mad about what he said, but I don't know where they say there's no lies told in his statement, because like I said, the shit he talking about that might be Asian owned, a lot of that shit is actually made here and you can live without it. So when he talking about they gonna stop, so we think this dude here got the ability to, if you want to buy Nike, I don't buy no Nikes personally. I don't do a boycott, I do a lifestyle change. Because if you boycott, things get better, then you go give them your money again. So I don't wear Nikes, but he has no ability to stop anything. I've been said we should have been boycott Nike and all that. For me, I can say Black people has been challenged, but it's not a challenge for me. I've been telling people to stop spending money with other folks. Stop spending your money with Nike and all those people. That's just me though. And like I said, I'm not gonna boycott because I don't boycott. I do a lifestyle change. I don't spend money with them, period. And once you make up your mind and say, we're gonna do a lifestyle change, we're not gonna boycott for a minute, and then things get better. So then we can give them our money again and eat that rat fried rice. Now, Coach Education, I don't even own a pair of Nikes. I don't wear Nikes, bro. I don't wear that. I've been stopped giving to these. People, man. and that's just a fact. So it's a challenge for some people, I guess. And yes, he did throw a challenge, but Black people need to just stop going anyway. That's my take on that. But it's a fact that Asian people own that stuff, but it's not a fact that it's all made in Asia. That's all I'm saying.
I think his challenge was really a threat, a veiled threat. But I also think there was some fear in that challenge. I think he took his time to list mention Jordans of all things, and TVs and all this type of shit. Cause I think he did that to make Black people, to kind of gaslight Black people, to make them feel like, oh damn, Why would I go? Why would I stop going to eat the rat fried rice, as Bakari calls it, when I got these Jordans over here, or I got these TVs or this car? But I think he was really fearful deep down that if black folks was to get it together and stop fucking with him, he knows they're done. Because guess what? And they know this too. Don't mind him talking that shit about we're in white neighborhoods. Not like that. The reason why Asian folks have these stores in black neighborhoods because white folks didn't want them in their neighborhood and didn't want them making money off of them. So they push them to come around us. This is why they get all these chances to open up all kind of lucky food store number 1 and 2 and 10 and all this shit. So I think there's a little bit of a fair thing going on with this guy, and he was afraid if we were to actually boycott, which is why I think he took the video down, according to Sister Cheryl, right? How though? How do we get? Because I saw Sister Cheryl mention black people don't support black business because they value whiteness. How do you reverse that? How? I've thought about this a few times here. Like, to open up a so-called convenience store, black-owned convenience store, right in the midst of these different Arabs and Chinese and all this kind of stuff. But how do you get the people to come to a black business? I mean, does anyone here have an idea, a brief strategy? How do you get black folks to come and to support black business and not just go by the default? Does anyone have any ideas on that?
So you can start by okay, I'm not saying that this is the main thing, but we can start by when we get our black business and it's successful, don't run out and go marry a non-black person. Because a lot of times when black people get their business and they get, not only do they have their business but it's successful, they tend to go grab them a white girl or Asian girl. Or that happens so much. I'm not saying that that's the main thing because black people are silly. Like we'll go out and we'll just say, well, the business is black because one of the people in the relationship is black, so it's a black business. We'll do stupid stuff like that. Sorry, I kind of got off topic with that, but black people do that all the time, and it's not a black business if you're not married to a black person. The end. But like you got to get to like what do you like to the values? Like if you value multiculturalism, well, nothing you can do. I mean, you gotta really, honestly, it's hard. But I mean, when you live in America, I feel like this is an easier question if you live in a black country. But in America, honestly, I see it as a moot point. I'm not saying that black people shouldn't have black businesses in America. I think they should. Absolutely, because even where we live back in the States, is black businesses everywhere. And every chance we get, we support black business. Every chance we get. Majority, like 90% of the places we spend with are black. And I'm thankful for that. But to get that, I don't I don't know. I think you gotta do some reverse psychology with black people. I don't know how that would look, but I think that's something that needs to happen. And also just, like just emphasizing the fact that everything that black people do, we do it better. Everybody knows this. But I think sometimes black people get discouraged from owning their own business. Sometimes I think that tends to happen, especially in a place where it's like a state, particularly where it's predominantly not black. Because I'll say like to me, what I've observed up north, it's harder to own a business if you're black versus when you go down south, it's a little easier. You go people a lot of black people actually a lot of northern states are losing are losing, people, and they're moving back down south. So I think there's something to be said about that. A lot of people, when they want to start up their businesses, they want to go places like Houston. They want to go to Atlanta. They want to go places where there are Black people. So I think sometimes when Black people don't support Black, it's because they're just discouraged by, like at least in Philly, I can say that they're discouraged because it's so hard. It's so hard to get a loan from a Black business. It's so hard. Like, I'm sorry, so hard to get a loan from like a bank for a Black business. Sorry. Um, so I don't know. Like, I feel like it's happening, but it's just maybe it's not happening at the rate that we want it to happen. And maybe it's not in the places that we expect them to be, but there are lots of Black businesses, lots of Black owned stuff happening. So I don't know. Reverse psychology, just being around Black neighborhoods. I learn.
Sure, I'll pay you if you can reverse that. If you can reverse do that reverse psychology. But you say, how do we get them to go? Black Steel, when he said we don't have any race pride. If you look up a grocery store called Casey, Cayce, Casey Foods, it's in Smyrna, Georgia. The man, Black man, the man is Nigerian. His wife is African American. I know this Black farmer. They on the side of they sell their stuff off the, they got on the corner, right? And he was talking about how he want to be in a grocery store. Then he introduced me, it's 4 more of us, it's 5 of us. We just want to get our fresh vegetables and stuff in the grocery store. So I went to Casey Foods. I went to African Tropical Foods. And I went to 3 grocery stores. None of them had fresh fruits and vegetables because they said they wanted to buy from African Americans. That's who they want, African Americans, to bring the fresh fruits and vegetables to their store. None of these farmers would even talk to them. They said they're waiting to get in Kroger's or Publix. Guess what? That was about 3 years ago. Guess what they're doing? Still waiting to get in Kroger's and Publix. So then when we go to the Black store, and we're going to be like, well, what are these fruits and vegetables? Who brought this in here? It's not because we didn't have an opportunity. It's what Black Steel said. There's no racial pride, because if there was racial pride there, they would have jumped for the opportunity to put their fresh fruits and vegetables inside of a Black-owned store. Well, one of them said he was FBA, and I think that part of the reason he may have not wanted to put it in it, because the husband was from Nigeria. So that's one of the ways that I think we're gonna have to teach racial pride to young folks. And if we want to change things, sometime, man, they got to see us doing it. So as we saying we're boycotting Ching Chong store, we need to show them, oh, we over here eating at the Fish Delight, and this is the address. Oh, we went to I'm over here at Carzell's Kitchen. Oh, I'm over here eating at Phenomenal Seafood. You understand what I'm saying? So while we are saying we're boycotting Chichon, let's show them where we can go. So instead of going to the Vietnamese nail spot, you know what? You can go right here to you can go right up here to what's the name of it? I know the owner. I'm finna say his name, but that's not the name of it. You can go to Life Day Spa and get your full body massage, get your toes and nails done. It's Black owned. So instead of going here go an option where you can go. Or instead of going here to just get your nails and toes done, you can go right here. This is where my lady going. This is the name of it. So in telling them to boycott, in the process of while we telling them to boycott, which is going to be hard for a lot of our people, but let's also tell them where they can go and get the same, well, I was going to say the same quality, but get a better quality of work. While we are telling them to boycott, let's show them the places. Let's show them some of the places where they can go. If it's a black-owned convenience store here. So instead of going there, you know, when I was back at home in Jackson, Mississippi a few weeks ago, I saw, you know, the convenience store, the corner gas stations where my son took me to. They were black owned, and I saw the black. Yeah, man, we trying to get away from them Arabs. We trying to get away from them East Indians. We should nobody be on the gas stations over here but us. But you know, so that's where. Not saying they are not there, because they are there. If I say they're not there, I'd be lying. But what I'm saying is there is an effort with some of our people. So some of our people don't know where the places are. So we know where these places are. As we tell them, don't go over there and eat that fried rice where they got the vegetables out the garbage can. You can go over here. You understand what I'm saying? Tell them, show them where they can go instead of telling them don't go here. I get a mic.
I appreciate that, Brother Bakari. In the chat, Trigger Happy says, next stage has to be how all black businesses come together to formulate a greater economic formation and pool of resources, but it takes steps, of course. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we have to be aiming for, I think. You know? Great discussion. Next week, I'm going to probably put up the post about the black man who helped get Chow off. But we're going to go to shoot restart number 4 and discuss something totally different. But I think it's important, and I'm glad Brother Bakari said that this is something that he champions a lot. Shooter restart number 4 says, are you getting prepared? You've been warned. This comes with a link that's going to take us to YouTube, I believe. Make sure you guys can see my screen. Yes, you can. So I want to play the short, and then we'll discuss it.
You need to have water. You need to have a radio on batteries, and you need to have a flashlight on batteries to make sure that you can survive the first 36 hours. Things like that. That's simple things. But it starts there. The realization that not everything is plannable, not everything is going to be hunky-dory in the next 20 years. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans. That's why we are preparing for a conflict with Russia and the terror groups, if it comes to it, if they attack us. We're not seeking any conflict. But if they attack us, we have to be ready. You need to have water, you need to have a radio on batteries, and you need to have a flashlight on batteries to make sure that you can survive the first 36 hours. Things like that. That's simple things. But it starts there. The realization that not everything is plannable, not everything is going to be hunky-dory in the next 20 years. I'm not saying it is going wrong tomorrow, but we have to realize it's not a given that we are in peace. And that's why we have the plans. That's why we are preparing for a conflict with Russia and the terror groups, if it comes to it, if they attack us. We're not seeking any conflict. But if they attack us, we have to be ready. You need to have water.
Yes, indeed. So one of the comments is interesting over here. It says they are running out of enemies. That leaves us. So the question for you guys is, are you getting prepared? Are you prepared, or are you getting prepared? And I think this, by the way, is a conversation me and Brother Bakari have often. Do you have your weapons? Do you have food supplies? Do you have backup generators? Do you have etc., etc.? Do you know how to live off the land if you had to? It's not just about having technology to survive, but it's about, do you have the skills and the know-how to go out there and hunt a deer, hunt a goat, or skin a chicken. You know, so it's important, man. Let's talk about it. Razuli is in the chat. He says, why 36 hours? Why 36 hours? I think it's 36 hours because most people can survive 24 hours, even 48 hours well, 24 hours, I should say, of a catastrophe. But can you survive beyond that? I think is the thing. By the way, I saw a video. I don't know if I posted it on the Discord or not. I saw a video where I don't know which island this lady was on, but she said something like a friend of hers who is in a certain position in New York City says New York is planning for a food shortage coming up here. I don't know when, of course, but I find that very interesting. And how they know is, I guess, New York has been reaching out to some of the islands to get some of their produce and stuff like that. So, again, it comes back to this fundamental question. Are you getting prepared? Seeing that you've been warned. Black Steel, what say you to this?
So, prepared for what, right? So I will say this. We deal with hurricanes in my neck of the woods, right? So we usually keep water, candles, in case the power goes out, lights, things like that. I have flashlight. I have some batteries here for some solar powered stuff to kind of get prepared in case of a storm. The last hurricane we had was Milton. My power was up within like 3 days, but some people, they didn't have power for like 2 weeks. So they couldn't, and then there was the gas in the car, all that I filled up, before the storm. I made sure I filled up my tank. I kept some gas in the spare can in my garage. But there were people who were standing in line for hours. No gas, weren't able to get any gas. So, when you have a breakdown, like in a natural disaster, you have to kind of be prepared for stuff like that. I was fortunately prepared, and, I didn't lose power that long, but I know people who lost power for 2 weeks. All the food they had in the refrigerator was gone. So all their food thawed out. We lost power for a little while. I took that meat and I grilled it, so we had a little grill on my neighbors, and I was outside hanging out. But anyways, I think that hard times are coming. And you mentioned the food shortages. So one thing about this, this war with Iran is that a lot of the fertilizers is made from petroleum. So these farmers don't have fertilizer for their fields. And that means the crop yields are going to be much smaller than what they have been. But that means that's going to drive up the cost of food. You're going to see food shortages. So that's something that we probably should expect pretty soon. The cost of food increasing. The cost of gasoline, because gas is going up in price. Much of our food internally is moved by truck. That's going to drive up the cost of food, is just the transportation cost. You think these grocery stores are going to eat that cost? No, they're going to pass that cost right along to the consumer. That could also lead to power outages. So yeah, you got to be prepared. You got to be. Another thing too, you got to get to know your neighbors too, because no man is an island. You're going to need each other. So we're going to need to be in a situation where we can connect with and share and coordinate with other people, especially other Black people. Let's be honest, other Black people, because we all we got, right? If you want a friend, look in the mirror, because that's all we got. We're going to have to be able to coordinate and work with our people. But yeah, guns are important, being able to defend yourself. But I think we're going to need to create networks of like food resources, generators. He said 72 hours. I would go for at least a week. And you need, usually once we hear of a storm coming our way, we usually go get sandbags. We have shutters in and whatnot, and just hope everything's going to be okay. But yeah, most people aren't prepared for a major collapse like that. I think I heard something that somebody said that if the power goes out for 6 months, most people are dead in this country. I mean, you're talking about medical supplies and things like that. That's a real possibility, real dangerous too when we talk about it, think about those things. So it's good to have security. It's good to have, prepare yourself for a catastrophe, but it's also good to have a network with your own people too, and make sure that you're in a position to where you can help out your neighbor, because you're not going to escape it by yourself. You can't just ride this thing out solo on some lone wolf stuff, right? The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives. So we got to start thinking of that mentality. We got to work with our people. All right, I'll leave it there. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Black Steel, sound advice for sure. Again, there's so much work that we got to do, and we just not doing it. You mentioned hurricanes. I know I'm from a place where a hurricane threatens every year, and I could tell you something. A lot of people don't be prepared for them hurricane until they announce, well, yeah, that's coming for Nassau in 2 days. And what happens? People bum rush the grocery stores, the gas station, etc. We gotta have the mentality from further out for what might happen. We have to have those networks. We have to create those networks too, as a matter of fact. Zulism said it sounds like it's going to be an inside job. No, I think it's just, it could be, of course. I think it's also a reality of where the world is at and where the world has been and where it's going. Zuli, I'm not going to put up your next comment here, but goddamn, don't let people know that you won't make 24 hours. As a matter of fact, Zuli, come on up and discuss that with us, by the way. Why do you think you wouldn't make it 24 hours? But, are you, this goes back to Shoot the Breeze, topic number 4, are you getting prepared? Sister Cheryl, what say you?
So I wouldn't say like I'm 100% prepared. There are some things that I want to learn how to do, like those things like, skinning the animal. Oh, I think that would be so cool. I want to learn how to do that. I'm sure there are places back home where I could find somebody who know how to do that kind of stuff, because I think that's kind of cool. And necessary. Not just cool, but necessary. But in terms of like, having sometimes my husband calls me the doomsday prepper. Not that I have a whole bunch of stuff stored up, but I'm always talking to him about like having the first aid kit available. I have this big old like generator. It's a solar power generator. It does a whole lot. It does the job. I'm always big on non-perishable food. Um, so and I'm cool. I'm cool with just not eating or cook having to cook a whole bunch of stuff. I can live off of very, very little. It's just funny because I'm always eating some vegetarian things, like things that don't spoil. I'm big on that. Always having some of those things available. We always got that. Um, we got a good little filter system for water. Um, so yeah, just little things like that. Every once in a while we talk about it, but getting serious, like I really do. Like I know how to shoot. I know how to shoot a M4, M16. I've shot an M9. I just don't. I need to get on getting a weapon. So actually getting one license and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's something that we kind of don't think about, but we need to at least be prepared in some way. Maybe you're not the ultimate doomsday prepper, but you got to have something in place. You definitely got to have lights. You got to have a first aid kit. You got to have non-perishable food. Those are the basic things, and then but obviously you got to be able to protect your keep. So I definitely that's definitely a conversation we have in our household. It's something that we really need to get on more. Because anything, it's just good to be prepared. It's not even we shouldn't just prepare because we think that something is going to happen. We should always be prepared. So I mean, maybe you don't have to have every single thing, but you definitely need to have the essentials. So I'll always agree. I'll always agree with this type of talk. Not land.
Appreciate that, Sister Cheryl. You and Black Steel made some good points there. Black Steel in particular made the point of you gotta know your neighbors and stuff. We should all try to have some of those things called firearms. But if you don't, for whatever the reason, you should know someone who does, someone who you're close with, and that's person or persons will be in your pack. And in response, you might be the one to provide the cooking or the canned goods or whatever it is, but we definitely need to roll in some packs, so to speak. And we definitely need to start knowing some people across nations, wherever we are. I'm not just talking about America. I'm talking about even in like the Caribbean. We gotta know some people in different spots where something goes down. We try to get up out of here, get across. No, not including Urugu neighbors. Not for me. No, that's the ones I'm trying to get away from. Maybe we could head up by Sister Raw up in the mountains there. You know what I mean? We really should think about this stuff a little bit heavy. Razuli, you're still welcome to come up if you're gonna come up. But in the meantime, let's hear from Brother Bakari. Brother Bakari, this is something you preach this a lot. What say you to it?
This is why I talk about having teams, trying to create teams, start with 5 people, then 10 people, have your rendezvous point. What Cheryl said is absolutely correct. She ain't 100% ready. And Cheryl, ain't none of us gonna be 100%. That's why we need a team, right? And what Koku just touched on, like for me, right? I can get ammo a little cheaper. I got guns, right? So what you bringing? I'm just gonna throw a number out there. Let's say I got 30,000 rounds and I got 8 guns. So this is what I'm bringing to the table. What you bring to see, no one person gonna have it all, right? Even the ones who think they're the great preppers. And I say I'm okay. I say I'm good. But ain't nobody gonna have it all. That's why we're supposed to have teams. And that's why you have a team, then we have a list of the things that we're supposed to have. And once you have that list, then somebody, okay, this is what you're gonna bring, this is what you bring. And we have to start putting that stuff together now and having somewhere where we're gonna rendezvous at together, if that makes sense. So ain't nobody gonna have everything. It's almost impossible, but that's what we're supposed to be doing. So who bringing the canned goods? Who bringing the batteries? Who got the flashlights? Who got this? And we start putting our money together, and we start bringing those things together now. And like Black Steel, they gonna be closer to it because, like my brothers, they have to. Like Black Steel got a whole cabinet right now full of nothing but Vienna sausages because ain't no telling when the storm going, when the hurricane gonna hit Florida. So it's things that they're gonna have, like with the food and stuff. That's things that because of where they live. So, but then the things that they don't have, if we have as a real team, like me and Koku was talking about, well, who gonna get the ham radio license, right? So who been studying for ham radio license, so we can so we'll be able to communicate. So because it lasts longer than 36 hours, or you understand what I'm saying, or it lasts longer than 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, in whatever we're going through. So when he said 36 hours, because if you study this, what they tell you is when you're going, if something to happen, they say if you survive it for first 24 to 48 hours, they say they're going to be the majority when That would be when the majority, what they believe, that will be the time when the most of the people that's not prepared, they're going to go. That's when that's what they believe. So that's why they would say, make sure you can survive 36 hours. That's why they say 36 hours. But shit, I think what these folks gonna do, what they say they done ran out of enemies. So, you know, they doing what they always do. They're doing their history. Now they got to turn and destroy and eat one another. So I think whatever they do is going to last longer than 30. It's going to last much longer than 36 hours. And we need to be prepared. And for people who don't know, and I heard, I don't know if it was Black Steel or Cheryl, mentioned gas prices. You know, those metal drums, what some people call burn barrels, you know, you can store gas in that. You can store gas in that. You get the right, you get the right fuel. You can store gas. You can, because I deliver them. This is how I know. You can get you a 55-gallon drum of that, and you can store that gas in that drum for up to a year. So there's things that we need to know. Of course, you want to have somewhere where you can store it, but I'm just saying you can store. You can store fuel. I saw somebody one time putting it in those big 330-gallon plastic totes. We don't put fuel in those totes for whatever reason. So I don't think those totes are designed for fuel. It's designed for death fluid. And most people don't know what that is and probably wouldn't need it. If you ain't got no diesel engine vehicle, that's 2005 above, you wouldn't need that anyway. But yeah, you can store fuel in a 55-gallon, what some people call burn barrel, in a drum, you know. But so I do agree. We do need to be prepared. I've been saying be prepared. That's why, you know, when COVID hit and they shut everything down, shit, I was able to feed 7 families out of my house for a whole damn month because I had so much stuff. And that ain't me trying to back. I'm just saying I do this because I do stuff like that because I always believe something gonna happen. And I always feel if something happened, Black people always catch the worst. So I don't want us to catch the worst. I want us to be able to survive these things and make things better. I yield my.
So in the chat, Culture Education, my boy Culture Education brought up something. He said, you know, included in knowing your neighbors is including your Yoruba neighbors. And I said, well, I'm trying to get away from them too, as a matter of fact. I have a reason why I say that. But he says that this was actually brought up in emergency preparedness training taught by a Black nationalist. I find that interesting. Because me personally, you guys know the show The Walking Dead, right? See, I look at what they don't show you or what they don't tell you in these things. If you notice in The Walking Dead, you rarely see Black people in that. Because in their minds, Black folks are going to be the first people to fall. And as a matter of fact, they might be the ones to take out the Black folks in that scenario. You see, I look at it as people are going to pair up, man. People are going to pair up, and these white folks are going to pair up in their large marauding groups. Asians are going to do their thing. Mexicans, they're going to do their thing. We got to be able to do our thing. We have to be able to pair up into groups and to protect ourselves. If you think they'll run down your kid out for not stealing a bottle of water out of a gas station and shoot them in the back and kill them, what do you think they're going to do when the stakes are even higher as far as survival goes? So this is why I say personally, I'm trying to be prepared away from them. But it's interesting that you have seen emergency preparedness training run by Black nationalists, and they include the Yoruba. That's very interesting. Does anyone else have any thoughts on this prompt? we've hit the 11 o'clock hour, and usually when I host, I try to end it around 11. If a conversation is happening and it goes over, I let it happen. But if you guys will allow me to, I have one more prompt here, and it's an interesting one, so I think you guys will be interested by it. All right. So if there's no more comments for Shoot the Breeze topic number 4, I'll post Shoot the Breeze topic number 5. This will, in fact, be the last topic of the night. And I think it's an interesting one. I'll be curious to hear you guys, not just on the panel, but you guys in the chat. What are your thoughts on this? Shoot the Breeze topic number 5 says, do you know about the Natasha trend in China? Before I get into it, drop a 1 for me if you guys are familiar with the Natasha trend in China. In the meantime, I'll queue up the video. Black Steel knows about it. Cool. Bakari, do you know about the Natasha trend?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to make our way down. There's a couple of attachments here. We're going to make our way down the list. So this first tweet, you guys can see it. It says, I don't doubt that these same people would think using a white-skinned baby doll as a stress relief toy to be abused would be grotesque and psychopathic. The baby being black makes it okay, though, because it allows them to not see it as human. So let me play the video. So Sister Cheryl didn't know about it. Trigger Happy knew. Culture Education didn't know. Real Black Gentleman's in the chat. He knew about it. So that's the first video. Let me see if this will work. If I go to the next video, will it share my audio? It looks like it will. Let's see. So this is from Dom Lucre. You guys probably familiar with Dom Lucre on X. He says, developing. Footage has released of a Chinese influencer who traveled to Nigeria to participate in the Harm This Natasha trend that is generating Chinese influencers millions of views for abusing black children. A decade ago, China claimed they were going to Africa to help get the continent the help it needed. Every narrative has a goal behind it. Let's watch this video.
我有活的娜塔莎，我有活的娜塔莎。
My name is Natasha.
So, remember the previous video is of that black baby doll that they're abusing, driving over it, doing all sorts of stuff. So then they take that sentiment, that doll is sold in China, they go to Africa now, and they carry out real harm against African children. This thing that you might be able to see on this video says this is the real harm this Natasha trend causes. This is a Chinese woman in Nigeria, and she holds and swings this baby as if it's a doll, hoping to use their likeness for views as they cry. There's another video. This one, let me see if this is going to work. This one takes us to YouTube. The video is called How Some Chinese Vloggers in Africa Are Abusing African Children for Content. We'll watch it. In fact, let me change the speed to 1.5. We'll watch it, and then we'll discuss it.
我啥也不是，我就是大笨蛋，我是大笨蛋。
So in recent years, there has been a disturbing trend that has emerged on Chinese social media platforms. So for those of you who don't know, China's internet is totally separated from the rest of the world. In China, all foreign apps, I mean all international apps that basically everyone else uses, apps like WhatsApp, YouTube, Google, any app that you can think of is completely blocked in China. They use their own versions of everything basically. So it goes without saying that these Chinese alternatives are extremely localized. They are mostly in Chinese and they cater exclusively to Chinese audiences. Now, the type of content I'll be dissecting today is a trend where Chinese content creators deliberately seek out the poorest communities in Africa. And once they are in these villages, they get the villagers to make all manner of content. So today I'm going to talk about a subgenre of this type of content that I find especially disturbing, something that I've been seeing for years now. These are videos that feature children, African children. So if you go on my YouTube channel, you're going to see that this topic is something that is very far from my niche, and it is something that I really don't want to talk about, but nobody has really been drawing attention to this problem. I know that the BBC has made a documentary about this before, but I don't know why nobody else has brought attention to it ever since. It has kept going, and honestly, I don't even know why such content is popular in the first place. So since nobody is bringing attention to this unique content, I might as well just bite the bullet and talk about it. So because it is a very tough topic to dissect, and I don't want this video to be very long, so I'm going to make a tier system, tier 1 to 5. Tier 1 is the borderline okay, not okay type of content, up to tier 5, where really somebody needs to be tracked down and arrested. So starting at tier 1, we are going to look at the genre of rage baiting, but with kids, black kids to be specific. There are two types of content that I want to talk about here. The first type are these rage baiting videos where a Chinese person, usually a woman, has a black child with them, like a child that is clearly black, monoracial black, not mixed, and they claim that this child is their own child. Now, at first glance, this type of content seems really harmless. It seems pretty innocent. Here's where it gets really interesting. When you go in the comment section of those types of videos, the only word that I can think of to describe the things that you are 100% guaranteed to see in those comments is vile. We are going to watch a few of those videos in a minute, but before that, let's talk about the second type of rage baiting videos using black kids. So these are the channels of people who don't really go to Africa per se. They don't post anything original. They take content from other platforms that are mainstream platforms like YouTube, Instagram. They take those videos of black kids from the internet, usually babies, and then they repost them on the Chinese internet. Again, very innocent. It's not like there's something wrong with reposting a video of a baby, but two interesting things: the caption of said video and the comment section of those videos. And I don't know why I'm saying horrible things like that. You want to kill a baby, you want to kick a baby, all sorts of horrible things. I don't know why it is socially acceptable. But apparently on Chinese social media, it just is, given that the baby is black. But any other baby, now you cannot say that, people will come for you. But if the baby is black, anything flies. And even more than that, I cannot fathom why on a video that has been viewed by hundreds and thousands of people, not even one person found this behavior abnormal and thought to call it out. You know, one of the things I got to appreciate about YouTube after I moved to China was that even though there were some negative types of content out there, there will be some people in the comments calling it out. It's one of the things that you cannot find on social media platforms in China. So in tier 2, I'm going to talk about two types of videos. The first type is when a grown person, a fully grown human being, has a channel full of videos where he's just chasing after black babies. These are channels where you can find videos upon videos upon videos of African kids just running away, terrified. And these are kids that are probably out playing because there is usually no adult around. So in Africa, if you're not from Africa, it's just something that is culturally normal for kids to go out by themselves and play in the streets because usually nothing happens, right? They are safe. They go, they play the whole day and they come back. When I was a kid, we used to do that also. We would go out the whole day and play and come back for dinner. And our parents would never worry about us because we were safe. Nobody would take advantage of us. We were just kids playing. That is how it is in most African societies, especially in the rural areas. But then now there are these people who are coming in and taking advantage of that culture. And these content creators, they go where these kids are playing and they are chasing these kids around with cameras. And these kids are running, they are terrified. And sometimes there is no context. And on other videos, there is commentary, which leads me to the second type of videos that I'm going to put in tier 2. So these are videos where a Chinese person is just cussing out a child in Chinese. Of course, the child doesn't understand. And sometimes these are children with their parents around, and the parent also doesn't understand it either. These types of videos are so popular for some reason, though I don't get why. Who in their right mind enjoys watching children being degraded and cussed out in a language that they don't even understand? And today I'm going to talk about people who sell videos, especially those personalized videos. So happy birthday or happy anniversary, those kind of videos. Like for an example, the guy who was in the BBC documentary, he would go and take these kids out of school and he would spend the whole day with them, making them to make all sorts of videos. And most of those videos he would monetize. Some of those videos are personalized videos that people buy for hundreds of yuan. And these kids, they're not getting paid anything. They're not getting paid anything. And he gets these kids to do all this kind of things. And sometimes the parents, of course, he would tell them that I'm a Chinese teacher, I'm teaching them Chinese. And yet these kids, they didn't even speak any Chinese, right? So it's just basically using those kids for content. When the parents started seeing that something fishy is really going on, he would follow these kids to school and get them out of school, give them some candy or something, and make them film hours and hours and hours of footage which he will in turn sell in China and make a lot of money. I mean, this guy in the BBC documentary, he was going all out. He was making these kids massage his feet. He was making them do all sorts of labor for him. He was a king. He was living like a king. And the parents were not aware of it, which is probably what is happening with all of these videos that we are seeing on Chinese social media platforms. The parents are most likely not aware of what is going on with their children, which is really sad. It's a problem that is so difficult to address because these videos, they're not being posted on mainstream social media. They are being posted in a country where the social media platforms that are used are exclusively for that country. So like people outside cannot see exactly what is going on. So these people are doing all of these things and they're getting away with it. Now for tier 4, these are videos where a grown person tells kids to say things that are degrading to themselves and Black people as a whole. You know, this is just, I don't even know what to say about this. Tier 5. Tier 5 is where it gets infuriating. You know, there are videos of grown men touching on young kids, videos of grown men slapping babies, beating up other people's kids. But what is really disturbing about this type of content is the things that people are saying in the comment section. Like, you see a video of a grown man slapping a baby, throwing a pillow on a baby that is just lying there. And I don't know where the mother is. Like, how can you trust a stranger in your house with a baby? I don't know what relationship he has with the mother, or maybe like he's just a stranger who came in. I don't know what is going on. But how can people watch a video of a grown man doing this to a baby and they don't even condemn it? In fact, they encourage it. And the comments are just vile and nobody's calling it out. Like, how is this? How? I don't even know. Like, how? I don't even know where to start. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I am being sensitive. But
yeah, another clip. This is the last one, I think. Takes us to X. It says Chinese netizens on Black baby dolls, quote unquote, Natasha, why it can't be white dolls. The white one doesn't have the same ugly vibes as this one. The white one is more human-like. This is a quote. So someone, I guess this is like their Reddit. Someone says, because the white one doesn't have the same quote unquote ugly vibe as this one. The selling point of this one is that it's ugly, abstract, and interesting. The white one looks more human-like, which makes people think of a baby, and it feels more depressing. So it definitely won't sell as well as the black or brown ones. Babies aren't usually this color, so it feels more like a toy to play with. Plus, it looks uglier and more abstract. I admit that white, yellow, and black each have their own charm, but the beauty and handsomeness that are more widely accepted are mostly white and yellow, aren't they? The most handsome and beautiful people on the globe list are mostly white, which is a universal standard of beauty. I see you guys commenting in the chat. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this last slide, this justification of why they use black and brown baby dolls, right? Because they're claiming that the beauty standard is white and then yellow. Brother Bakari, let me start with you first. What are your thoughts on the Natasha trend in China?
Shit, well, that's how they feel about black folk. Did you see where they went? Where the guy filmed in the he was in a museum in China, and all of the art they had of black people, they had put it next to chimpanzees and monkey, comparing us to the chimps and the monkeys. That's how I'm talking about our looks and everything. So that's how they feel. I heard the woman say they done come to Africa with it and doing it to little babies. Where like, dude, where the people at? Where the men at? What the men at? Where the women at? Man, look, so eventually, right? So this is how, and the reason I'm saying it the way that I'm saying it, it's an absolute horrible thing that they feel that way. It's an absolute horrible thing that they do that. I don't give a damn how they feel. But once they start doing other things, then it becomes a problem. But angry with them, but disappointed in black folk. Because how can somebody just come to your country and shoot you like shit? Just like somebody can come to your neighborhood and chase you down and shoot you in your back. And nothing is never done. I don't know if they think they white or trying to be white or not. I ain't putting this on white folks. These damn Asians. That's who doing this. They think they're white. I don't know what they think. That's these gooks who looking down on black folk and treating black folk like this. Treating black folk like this, and we are taking it, and we're taking it worldwide. You know, and I'm quite sure there's been a couple instances. You know, there've been instances where black people have done something, but I'm talking about as a whole, and the way this shit is shown, in the way that it's shown, we're taking it globally. And like I said, it's time to start doing to people, in my opinion. This is my opinion, not the opinion of the host or anyone else. It's time to start doing to people and treating people the way they do and treat us, that we are nice and accepting. I'm gonna continue to say it. It's, in all honesty, man, it's time to let that go. It really is. So that's what I think about that. I think we need to make a ching chong doll, and then we need to go find some little Chinese babies and throw them around. I'm just saying, shit. I hear the mic.
I feel you on that. You know what? The first prompt of the night, we were told, be wary of the European media and what's being shown, and that some is not all, blah, blah, blah. But are we supposed to take, even if this is a handful of, are we supposed to accept this? Are we supposed to accept this, talking about some is not all? Black Seal, what say you to all of it?
Man, that was hard to look at, man. That was hard to look at, especially when they're putting their hands on the kids, man. Like, who are you to put your hands on anybody's child, right? And from what I've heard, my understanding is that they are now in the schools in China. They've been taking the little dolls and they've been confiscating them. So I guess the kids are having them and they're punishing them. But this is just, I mean, I know that some people have a problem with the ideology of Afro-pessimism, but whatever issues you might have with it, you can't prove it wrong. Because Afro-pessimism basically says that anti-blackness is basically the axis around which the world turns. And I agree with that. So anti-black violence is a necessity for the world to function. And that without anti-black violence, the world as we know it would cease to exist. So you see how these Chinese people, I mean, there's not even a lot of black people in China, right? And for those black people who do have gone to China, they've seen that, the Chinese people look at them with awe, kind of surprised to see it like a Bigfoot type of situation, but that doesn't explain, the need to go around and mistreat children, right? That is a ideology that is found in just like the most racist people in the world. And I think that black people are just unaware of the world that we live in and how racist it is against our people. Because you're leaving your children, and I guess, hey, the kids outside playing, they don't think it's any problem. When I was a kid, I used to go outside and play with my brother during the summertime, and it wasn't no big deal. But we're not living in those times anymore, right? We're not living in that environment anymore. That's not the world that we're currently in. We got to guard our people. But yeah, it's overall, like I say, the world is guided by anti-blackness, right? That is the lens in which we view the world, and this is just simply reality. These Chinese people who probably have never seen a black person in their life got a little baby doll that can beat up and says it's less human, because who sees babies and who sees black babies, right? There's like 2 billion of us. There's plenty of black babies out there. It's not like a rare thing. It's like a fucking panda. Okay, there's plenty of black children out there, but at the same time, you guys people say, "Oh, we don't really see these baby colors," and But again, it just shows how the anti-blackness is just prevalent throughout their society, and there's no real reason for it. But to be black is in Afro-pessimist ideas, right? Blackness is a negation of humanity. She said it herself. These aren't, they look less human, right? Blackness is a negation of individual's humanity. They don't see you as human. You exist outside the human family. So we got to take from that what we can, what we will. Again, we're not going to look for solidarity. We're not going to look for allies, except within our own people. We can't trust these people because they will come. Think about it. You're going to travel literally thousands of miles to abuse children, right? That's a sickness that can't even. That's just what the white people do. They go to Thailand and whatnot to fuck on the little girls and whatnot. When they go to the, it's a sickness, and it's disturbing that these people came to Africa talking about, we're going to offer you fair contracts and help you develop for your resources and try to be fair, but they turn around and do this. So fucking people, I had no sympathy for them, and Africans, we got to do a better job, man. We got to do a better job of protecting our people, protecting our young people. And usually, they thought they could just leave the kids out there, let them play, and it would be an issue. We can't do that anymore. And this is exactly what I mean by our behavior and the way we manage stuff. Like the behavior things we're doing, it's completely inappropriate. Completely inappropriate. You got these people going, and the thing is, like she said in the video, the Chinese don't share their social media. So unless you're an African person who happens to be on Chinese social media, you wouldn't know until they reveal it. So man, it's sickening. That's all I can say, man. It's just sickening. I hate to see it. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Culture Education in the chat asks a question: where are the children's parents? Trigger Happy 262 says, LOL, the amount of people I saw defending China, saying this trend is suddenly a psyop to separate the revolutionary solidarity between China and black people, laughing my ass off. I agree with Trigger Happy. Fuck them opium wars. This white man came and had y'all drugged out. I forget for how long. Had y'all drugged out. But yet, white is the standard of beauty to you? Come on, man. Real Black Gentleman said, how would it ever be harmless? The matron says, this is just more of their fetishization of our existence. If you look on the video, they're actually eating this little Natasha, I guess, chocolate doll baby type thing. Cheryl in the chat says, black people want to live in China. If you know how many black people be bragging about living in China. There's a young black girl, I talked about her a couple months back. Young black woman from somewhere in Africa, is it living in China, can speak a bunch of languages. If you see how she have all these old Chinese women grabbing up on her and feeling up on her and all kind of stuff. So another black woman in China, and I'm not picking on black women, I'm just using these examples. Another black woman in China who's there shaking her ass for these Asians, and they're there giggling and patting her butt. I mean, come on. Real Black Gentleman says, way too touchy feeling. Cheryl says, stop Asian hate. What else? Matron says, if this were any other group of children, the world would be horrified. But because it's black children, and maybe they give the parents a few dollars, it's okay. Shaking my head. Culture Native says, homophiles. Right? Thank you for all of the comments in the chat, by the way. RBG says, miss me with the bullshit. Matron says, white is not the standard of beauty. The black woman is the standard of beauty. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Of course, white and yellow are the standard of white and yellow people. Black beauty is global, right? So many comments, but I'll share those with you. Last but not least, I'm coming to Sister Cheryl because I'd like to hear a black woman with a black child. How do you feel about what you just learned about tonight on Shoot the Breeze and Shoot the Breeze topic number 5? Sister Cheryl, what say you to it?
I think I'm gonna agree with Bakari on this one. It's an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I mean, we're not gonna go to the extent of making candy out of black people. That's a little excessive. And honestly, I wouldn't put it past Asians and Europeans. They all have common genetic ancestors. They're all the same people. Arabs too. They're all freaking same people. They all do the same stuff. Um, I wouldn't put it past them if they actually do eat black people. I mean, we already know white people do. So I mean, that's their thing. And I'm with Bakari on this. Like, if y'all gonna teach y'all children, that's not the standard. It's just like that video with the child and she's like, which doll and they have the little white girl and they're like, which doll is good? And the white girl point to the white doll and then they say, which doll is bad? And then she point to the black doll. We got to do that in reverse. Absolutely, yes. That's long overdue. Black people are too about humanist perspectives and oh, we're all the human race. No, 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 no. We need to stop the foolishness. And with my child gonna know what the standards are, what the standard for beauty is. We teach him white is disgusting and it's nasty and it's ugly because it is. Absolutely. 100% hate. You say, oh, there's hate. Oh, I don't care. I don't care. That's because that's what he's going to be met with when he travels and stuff like that. Not saying that he going to China, definitely not going there. We don't need to be there. But when you travel and when you see these people and they in black countries and stuff, you got to know what the deal is. And at 3 years old, Azuka, my son, he knows what the deal is. And his grandparents don't like it, but it's what's necessary. And yeah, you know, our parents are too far gone. The parents, I'm sorry, his grandparents are too far gone. They are gone. They're never going to understand why we should be doing to them what they do to us. Now, like I said, to the extent we're not gonna make no little dolls of white children and make our children little candies and stuff that look like white children. We gonna make them eat 'em. That's beyond obsession. That is beyond. You don't need to get your point across. We don't need. I don't need to get my point across. Do that to get the point across. But guess what? If they're going to those lengths to do that for their children, me saying that, oh, these are nasty Bakra people. These are Bakra. These are nasty people. They're disgusting. Me saying that to my child should be nothing. That should be like nothing. They're making whole candy and dolls to try to get the point across to their people. They are going to the utmost extremes to protect their race, their genetic bloodline. They are going above and beyond, and we should be at least telling our children that blackness is the standard, or the standard of beauty, the standard for everything. That's the least we can be doing, because they are taking it to a whole nother level. And I land my plane.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Sister Cheryl. In the chat, KW Don says his brother lives in Japan. He has never complained about racism, but our worldviews are not aligned. That's interesting, isn't it? How it's just interesting how you could be in the same family but have different views on these things. RBG, Real Black Gentleman, says, I want to hear an African head of state check these Chinese in this country with bass in his voice. I agree with you 100%. Real Black Gentleman says, that's crazy to let this slide on some fugazi shit. Real Black Gentleman, interesting enough, says, I want Russia to weigh in on it. I'm curious about that. What do you want Russia to do or say? Provide Triggers for Evolution is still with us. She says it's 2026 and African children are not even safe on their own continent. Left defenseless with no intervention from the state, and yet we want to be respected. Very interesting. You know what I noticed too, not in possibly in these videos that we saw, but in other videos I've seen, I noticed that African children tend to run away from these people, crying and stuff too. Like it's like there's something innate in a people, even from a child's perspective. Yo, you don't look like me. Me and you shouldn't be around each other. But yet the adults, heads of state and etc., we let this stuff slide, man. Any last thoughts on this prompt before we go to shout outs for tonight? Anybody have any last thoughts?
Yeah. Can I say something? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Can y'all hear? Okay. I wouldn't. I'm like you. Whoever said that, they want to hear Russia, and that's my point. Why do we think we got to depend on somebody else to take care of us? What in the hell is Russia gonna say? I don't know who said that, so I ain't trying to be disrespectful. But I'm just saying, what are they supposed to say? What are they supposed to say? The big thing is, what are we gonna do? What are the people on the continent of Africa gonna do? What are the black people here gonna do with the Asians and everywhere else? Man, eventually, man, we gonna have to let our nuts hang, pull our pants up, and black men gonna have to. I'm just saying. I ain't telling them. I'm just saying, man. We gonna have to stop. We gonna have to stop with that, trying to depend on other people. Like I know this guy, and we were talking to him, and I said, well, that's just a few of them. That ain't how they really feel. I'm like, all right, dude. I just switched the conversation, man. You can't you can't, man. Because we don't think. We are so defeated. We don't think we can handle none of our own business, man. We need somebody else to handle it for us.
I appreciate that, brother Bukai. Before you guys leave, if you don't mind, just oblige me, man. Let's do something. Let's end on a somewhat positive note, if we can. Let's give our shout outs for the week. Anything positive you saw in the Black World? This is for the Panland, for the chat. So, chat, please drop your shout outs for this week. I'm just going to go straight down the line. Black Steel, what would you like to shout out this week?
I didn't use no call on me. Shout out to the Carmelo Anthony trial started today. I hope this young brother gets off. He stabbed some crack in the heart for self-defense. So free that young man. I hope he gets off. That's my only shout out today.
Appreciate that, Black Seal, and thanks for coming through as usual. Sister Cheryl, would you like to shout out this week?
So I guess shout out. I'm in Jamaica right now. It's my first time in Kingston. So I guess shout out to all of the I guess the black businesses that I see here and the black people that I see that we talk to that are, trying to do the right thing here in Jamaica. You got a lot of Chinos. You got a lot of Chinamen here trying to buy up a lot of property and land and stuff. So I mean, we talk to like some of the locals. Some of them. I mean, obviously, a lot of them are Christianized, but even some of the ones that you can talk to that aren't. I just want to take a shout out to them because they see the problem. You have some that see the problem, and so I think that's worth acknowledging.
Appreciate you, Sister Cheryl. My early shout out is to you. You're on vacation and yet you still came to hang out with us on a Saturday night. I do appreciate that. Brother Bakari, what would you like to shout out this week?
First, I want to shout out to you for hosting. And once again, it was a great show. Shout out to everybody that was on that panel and everybody that's in the chat that was involved in the show. I'm gonna give a shout out to this brother. I'm gonna tell you something. Don't know his name, and it happened a few years ago. But shout out to that brother in Miami, Florida, that won a self-defense case, had to put a bullet through that Urugu chest, 2 of them for trying to jump on him in a Waffle House. I don't know his name, and it was a few years ago, but I'm gonna shout him out anyway, because that's how you handle these people that think they can do whatever they want to do to you.
Appreciate that. I want to shout all you guys out for joining us tonight, making this a great conversation. Want to shout out everyone in the chat who contributed. I hope I did you guys well in reading out some of your comments to these prompts. Trigger Happy 262 Plus says shout out to the AES always. Culture Education says tell some folks about the podcast in Jamaica. That's Sister Cheryl. Last but not least, my shout out is to the Knicks. Knicks in 4. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place. You guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.